How to never get angry or bothered by anyone. Stoicism. Have you ever found yourself overwhelmed with anger because of something someone said or did? Perhaps a passing comment, a rude gesture, or even a minor inconvenience set off a chain reaction of frustration that seemed impossible to stop. In the chaos of today's world, where stress levels are sky high and we're bombarded with challenges from every direction, staying calm can feel like an uphill battle. But what if I told you there's a way to stay unshaken no matter what life throws your way? What if you could master your emotions so completely that no one could ever rob you of your peace again? The ancient philosophy of Stoicism holds the key. It's not just a relic of the past, it's a practical guide for modern life, offering timeless strategies to navigate even the most difficult situations. Great minds like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca lived through hardship and turmoil, yet they found a way to remain calm, composed, and unbothered. In today's video on Stoic in Your Life, we'll uncover the secrets of this transformative philosophy, breaking down how you can apply it to your everyday life to rise above anger and irritation. What I'm about to share isn't just abstract philosophy, it's a collection of practical, proven methods you can start using right now. Each insight has the power to shift your mindset and bring an immediate sense of calm. So, stay with me until the very end, because even one small change in how you approach your emotions could transform the way you live. Let's get started. Number 1. Embrace willingness. Mastering your emotions and freeing yourself from anger begins with embracing willingness, a core principle of Stoic philosophy that encourages aligning with reality rather than resisting it. Acceptance, as the Stoics teach, is not passive resignation but an active engagement with life as it unfolds. Marcus Aurelius captured this beautifully in Meditations. Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people fate brings you together with. This mindset helps you see life as it is, working with circumstances instead of battling them, ultimately cultivating inner peace and emotional freedom. Consider the minor frustrations of daily life: washing dishes, being stuck in traffic, or waiting in a long line. These situations often cause irritation because we resist them, wishing for a different reality. Yet, as Epictetus advises in Discourses, do not seek to have events happen as you want them to, but instead want them to happen as they do, and your life will go well. By shifting your perspective, even mundane tasks can become opportunities for mindfulness or personal growth. Washing dishes transforms into a chance to focus on the present moment, while a traffic jam offers time to enjoy a podcast or reflect on your day. With this approach, you turn everyday annoyances into moments of peace and reflection. This principle also applies to life's larger challenges such as a missed promotion or personal setback. It's natural to feel frustrated or defeated, but Stoicism teaches that resistance amplifies suffering. By reframing setbacks as opportunities to learn and grow, you can embrace them as valuable lessons. A failure, for example, can be seen as a chance to improve skills, rethink your strategy, or build resilience. In this way, willingness helps you transform even the most difficult situations into stepping stones for wisdom and strength. At its heart, willingness also requires a broader life perspective, one that values purpose over fleeting gratification. When your actions are tied to a higher goal, whether it's contributing to your field, supporting loved ones, or personal growth, every task becomes meaningful. For instance, a stressful deadline may feel overwhelming when viewed in isolation, but if connected to a larger mission, it becomes fulfilling. This shift in perspective reduces frustration and fosters a deeper sense of satisfaction, helping you navigate life with clarity and purpose. Cultivating willingness is not an instant transformation but a practice developed over time. Start with small moments. When you feel frustration rising, whether in traffic or during a tough conversation, pause and reframe the situation. Instead of letting anger take over, treat it as an opportunity to practice patience or gratitude. Over time, this mental habit becomes second nature, allowing you to approach life's unpredictability with grace and calm. As Seneca wisely said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Every challenge, big or small, is a chance to grow stronger and wiser. Modern Stoicism offers timeless tools for today's fast-paced and often chaotic world, reminding us that peace doesn't come from controlling external events, but from mastering our internal reactions. By embracing willingness, you create a life of freedom, where anger and resistance lose their grip. Instead of being consumed by the turbulence of the outside world, you remain grounded and focused, finding serenity in the face of life's uncertainties. Integrating this mindset into your daily life may require effort, but the rewards are profound. You'll find yourself less troubled by life's difficulties and more attuned to moments of joy and fulfillment. Modern Stoicism provides a practical framework for living with courage, purpose, and inner calm. By embracing willingness, you step into a life of resilience and freedom, aligned with life's natural flow and untouched by unnecessary frustration. Number 2, stop judging others. Stop judging others. It's a simple concept, yet profoundly challenging, as judgment is often the spark that ignites our anger and frustration. Think about it. When someone behaves in a way that doesn't align with your expectations, you might rush to label them inconsiderate, lazy, or rude. This impulse to judge doesn't just burden the other person, it weighs you down more than anyone else. As Epictetus wisely observed, it is not events themselves that disturb people, but their judgments about those events. This Stoic truth holds the key to unlocking emotional freedom. Imagine someone cuts you off in traffic. Your gut reaction might be, "What a reckless, selfish driver." But consider this. Could they be rushing to the hospital? Or did they simply misjudge the situation? When you reframe your perspective, the anger dissolves, and you remain composed. This is one of the most profound Stoic secrets, the ability to detach your peace from others' actions by managing your own interpretations. The same principle applies in your relationships with colleagues, friends, or family. Suppose a coworker misses another deadline, and you instantly label them as irresponsible. But what if they are quietly struggling with personal issues or an overwhelming workload? Shifting your mindset to seek understanding rather than blame changes everything. As humans, we are prone to see the world through the lens of our own biases, assuming we have the full picture. Stoicism invites us to question these assumptions. The truth is, our judgments are often incomplete, even inaccurate, and they breed unnecessary conflict. By challenging our own conclusions, we create space for empathy and shield ourselves from emotional turmoil. Let me share a story to illustrate. A man on a train was growing increasingly frustrated by the behavior of a father sitting nearby. The children were running wild, yelling and disturbing other passengers, while the father stared blankly out the window. Unable to contain himself, the man snapped, "Why don't you control your kids?" The father turned to him with tears in his eyes and said, "I'm sorry. We just came from the hospital where their mother passed away, and I don't know how to handle it." Suddenly, the man's irritation melted away, replaced by regret and compassion. The father hadn't changed, the children hadn't changed, but the man's judgment had. What if you approached every situation with this openness? What if, instead of rushing to conclusions, you paused and asked, "What else might be going on here?" This shift requires practice, but it's transformative. Start by observing your thoughts throughout the day. How often do you judge others without knowing the full story? The next time you catch yourself, pause and ask, "Is this judgment necessary? Is it fair?" You might be surprised how often the answer is no. Try reframing your initial reaction to include alternative possibilities. Instead of thinking, "That person is rude," you might consider, "Maybe they're having a tough day." Instead of assuming someone is lazy, you might think, "Perhaps they're overwhelmed." This small mental adjustment has a ripple effect. It softens your perspective, builds emotional resilience, and fosters deeper connections with those around you. Letting go of judgment doesn't mean accepting harmful behavior. It doesn't mean you should excuse mistreatment or lower your standards. It means refusing to let the actions of others dictate your emotions. Marcus Aurelius captured this wisdom perfectly. You always have the option of having no opinion. There is never any need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you can't control. Think about that for a moment. You have the power to decide how you interpret every situation. You can choose peace over anger, understanding over frustration. By seeing others' actions as reflections of their circumstances rather than definitive statements about their character, you free yourself from the toxic cycle of negativity. The lesson here is simple but profound. When you stop judging others, you take control of your inner world. This is not about excusing bad behavior. It's about preserving your peace. Judgment fuels anger, but understanding and curiosity extinguish it. So, the next time someone irritates you, ask yourself, am I seeing the full picture? Challenge your assumptions. Exercise empathy. Because the greatest of Stoic secrets isn't in controlling the world, it's in mastering yourself. Number 3, let go of control. One of the most profound teachings of Stoicism, and a cornerstone of modern Stoicism, is the ability to let go of control over external events. The desire to control everything around us often leads to frustration and unhappiness. This timeless insight reminds us to focus our energy on mastering our thoughts and emotions rather than being consumed by circumstances beyond our influence. In essence, it's about reclaiming the inner fortress of your mind and directing your efforts where they matter most. Picture a scenario that many of us encounter daily. You're stuck in traffic, running late for an important meeting. It's easy to fall into the trap of anger and frustration, blaming city planning, other drivers, or even your bad luck. Yet none of these things are within your control. What is? Your response. Instead of giving in to negativity, you could channel this time into something constructive, reviewing your talking points, practicing deep breathing, or simply listening to an inspiring podcast. By relinquishing the urge to control external factors like traffic, you shield your peace of mind and redirect your energy toward meaningful action. Seneca once remarked, "He suffers more than necessary, who suffers before it is necessary." In moments like these, the choice to suffer is yours to reject. This principle applies equally to professional challenges. Imagine your boss makes a decision you find irrational or counterproductive. While you cannot control their behavior, you hold the reins over your response. You can waste energy on frustration and gossip, or you can adjust your approach, offering constructive feedback or adapting to the new situation. By focusing on your actions rather than their choices, you free yourself from emotional turmoil and transform obstacles into opportunities for personal growth. This mindset not only cultivates resilience, but also helps you maintain professionalism and inner peace in a chaotic work environment. To truly embody this wisdom, the Stoics advocated the practice of premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. This involves mentally preparing for potential challenges by visualizing things that could go wrong, missing a flight, receiving criticism, or losing a deal. By rehearsing your emotional response to such scenarios, you train your mind to accept unpredictability with calmness and resolve. Think of it as emotional immunity, just as a vaccine prepares your body for disease. This exercise strengthens your spirit against life's inevitable adversities. Epictetus wisely noted, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Letting go of control is not an act of surrender, but a redirection of effort toward what truly matters. By focusing on your inner world, your thoughts, emotions, and choices, you become less vulnerable to the chaos of the external world. In today's fast-paced, interconnected society, this practice is more relevant than ever. Modern Stoicism teaches us that by mastering our internal state, we gain the ability to face challenges with grace and clarity. Whether it's a traffic jam, a workplace conflict, or an unforeseen setback, the key is to preserve your serenity by refusing to wrestle with the uncontrollable. Instead, direct your energy toward what is entirely yours to command: your character, your actions, and your perspective. By integrating this principle into your daily life, you create a foundation for enduring peace. Life's unpredictability no longer feels like a storm to be weathered, but rather a flow to be navigated with wisdom and calm. This shift not only empowers you to handle adversity with resilience, but also inspires those around you to adopt the same perspective. As you let go of the need to control what lies beyond your reach, you will find freedom, clarity, and strength in abundance. In this lies the ultimate power of modern Stoicism, the art of focusing on what truly matters while embracing life's uncertainty with unwavering grace. Have you explored the wisdom of Stoic in your life before? If so, comment below with, "I've watched content from this channel." If you're new here, we'd love to have you join us. Comment, "I'm new," and we'll follow along regularly. Let's dive deeper into how Stoic principles can transform the way we navigate life's challenges. Number 4. Focus on the present. A vital step in mastering your emotions and achieving peace of mind is to focus on the present, a foundational principle of Stoic philosophy. The past is unchangeable, and the future remains uncertain, leaving the present moment as the only reality you truly possess. Marcus Aurelius captured this wisdom succinctly in Meditations. Confine yourself to the present. This insight serves as a reminder that clarity, purpose, and resilience come from embracing the here and now, rather than being consumed by regret for the past or anxiety about the future. In the context of modern Stoicism, learning to focus on the present equips you with the tools to navigate life with greater calm and confidence. Dwelling on past mistakes or worrying excessively about the future often creates unnecessary stress. For example, replaying a failed presentation in your mind not only accomplishes nothing, but also erodes your confidence and distracts you from moving forward. Similarly, obsessing over future uncertainties, such as whether a project will succeed or whether others will judge you, drains your energy, leaving you less capable of taking effective action. As Seneca wisely noted, true happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future. By grounding yourself in the present, you free yourself from these mental burdens, allowing your energy to be fully directed where it matters most, here and now. Mindfulness, the practice of being fully engaged in the current moment, is one of the most effective ways to cultivate this focus. By consciously observing your thoughts, surroundings, and sensations, you anchor yourself in the present, freeing your mind from distractions. Simple exercises can help. While drinking coffee, for instance, focus on its aroma, warmth, and taste, rather than scrolling through your phone or planning your day. Similarly, take a few minutes each day to notice your breathing, observe its rhythm and depth without judgment. These seemingly small practices of presence can accumulate into a profound sense of calm and control over time, providing a steady foundation for your emotional well-being. This principle is also transformative when applied to productivity and problem-solving. Facing a large or daunting task often leads to procrastination or feelings of overwhelm. Instead of fixating on the enormity of the entire project or its potential outcomes, break it into manageable steps and focus on completing one task at a time. This approach not only increases efficiency, but also reduces stress by channeling your attention to what you can control at the moment. As Epictetus advised, don't let the force of an impression when it first hits you knock you off your feet. Say to it, "Hold on a moment. Let me see who you are and what you represent." By attending to each step with intention, you make consistent progress and gain confidence in your ability to meet challenges head-on. Living in the present is not about ignoring the past or neglecting to plan for the future, but about finding balance and clarity. Reflecting on past experiences can be valuable when used constructively, and setting goals for the future is essential for growth. However, these activities should not overshadow your engagement with the present moment. By practicing this principle, you reclaim your power over your thoughts and emotions. You learn to let go of regrets that no longer serve you and to set aside fears that may never materialize, freeing yourself to act with purpose and precision. Focusing on the present is more than a philosophical ideal. It is a practical tool for navigating the demands of modern life. In a world filled with constant distractions and pressures, this practice allows you to maintain clarity, manage stress, and live with greater intention. Modern Stoicism emphasizes the importance of this mindset, not just as a way to stay calm but as a path to living a more fulfilling life. By mastering the art of presence, you liberate yourself from anger, frustration, and the mental clutter that so often clouds judgment. You gain the ability to approach life's challenges with grace, channeling your energy into what truly matters. In doing so, you create a life of clarity and purpose, rooted firmly in the power of now. Number 5. Take responsibility for your feelings. Take responsibility for your feelings. It's one of the most liberating truths of Stoicism and a cornerstone of emotional resilience. You see, your emotions are not caused by what happens to you, but by how you choose to interpret and react to events. Marcus Aurelius captured this beautifully. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Let that sink in for a moment. Think about a time when someone unfairly criticized you. Maybe it was a coworker belittling your work, or a friend making an offhand comment that stung. Your immediate reaction might have been anger, defensiveness, or even self-doubt. But pause for a moment and ask yourself, was it their words that caused the pain? Or was it your decision to let their words have power over you? Stoicism teaches that this choice is entirely yours, and it's one of the great Stoic secrets to remaining unbothered by others. To master this principle, you need self-awareness, and that begins with a simple but powerful habit, the pause and reflect technique. Imagine you're in a heated argument and someone throws a harsh accusation your way. Instead of firing back, take a deep breath and ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Can I control what they've said or only my response? That pause creates a buffer, a moment of clarity, where you can choose calmness over chaos. It might feel unnatural at first, but over time, it becomes second nature. Let me tell you a modern story to bring this to life. A manager at a busy tech firm, known for his temper, decided to try this technique. One day, a team member accused him of favoritism during a heated meeting. His instinct was to lash out, but instead he paused, reflected, and calmly replied, "That's an interesting perspective. Let's discuss it after the meeting." Later, they talked it through, and the issue resolved amicably. That pause not only saved him from escalating the conflict, but also strengthened his team's trust in him. What could you achieve if you approached life's provocations with that level of control? Another transformative practice is journaling. Each evening, jot down moments from the day when you felt upset, frustrated, or angry. Reflect on what triggered those emotions and consider how you could have reacted differently. Over time, this habit reveals patterns in your responses and helps you build emotional discipline. For example, you might notice that you often feel irritable when people interrupt you. Once you recognize this, you can prepare yourself to respond calmly when it happens again. Journaling isn't just about self-critique, it's about celebrating your progress too. Did you stay composed during a difficult conversation? Write that down and reflect on how far you've come. It's also crucial to understand that taking responsibility for your feelings doesn't mean suppressing them. Suppression leads to bottled up emotions that eventually explode. Instead, Stoicism encourages healthy acknowledgement and management of emotions. Let's say you feel hurt by a close friend's actions. Rather than ignoring the pain or lashing out, calmly express how you feel. Something like, "When you canceled our plans last minute, it made me feel unimportant." This approach not only diffuses tension but also strengthens your relationships by fostering open communication. How many conflicts in your life could be avoided by choosing this path? Taking responsibility for your emotions ultimately makes you resilient. Life is unpredictable and people will act in ways you can't control. But when you own your feelings, you reclaim your power. You're no longer at the mercy of someone's bad mood, rude comment, or thoughtless behavior. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you always have the option of having no opinion. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you choose not to be ruled by what you can't control. By internalizing this mindset, you become the master of your emotions and protect your peace of mind. So the next time you feel anger bubbling up, ask yourself, am I reacting to the situation or to my interpretation of it? Embrace the pause, journal your thoughts, and communicate with clarity. These practices are simple yet profound Stoic secrets that can transform the way you navigate life, ensuring that no one and nothing can rob you of your inner peace. Number 6. Practice non-reaction. In the chaos of modern life, practicing non-reaction stands out as one of the most effective tools for maintaining peace and resilience. Stoicism teaches us that we are never obligated to respond to every provocation, and it is through restraint that we find true strength. Epictetus encapsulated this wisdom when he said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This principle, central to both ancient Stoicism and modern Stoicism, is not about passivity, but about exercising thoughtful control over our responses, ensuring they align with our values rather than being driven by fleeting emotions. Non-reaction is a deliberate choice to prioritize clarity and composure over impulsive retaliation. Consider a situation where a colleague criticizes you openly during a meeting. The immediate instinct might be to defend yourself or lash out, but such reactions often escalate the conflict, making you appear less composed and less in control. Instead, Stoicism urges you to pause and reflect before responding. For instance, you might calmly thank the colleague for their feedback and choose to address the matter privately at a later time. This approach not only preserves your dignity, but also signals professionalism and emotional maturity. Marcus Aurelius's advice, "You always have the option of having no opinion," further reminds us that we can consciously choose not to give power to provocations, thereby protecting our peace and focus. Mastering non-reaction requires cultivating self-control, which is easier said than done in a world that often demands instant responses. One simple yet profound technique is to practice delaying your response. Imagine receiving a harsh email or overhearing an offensive remark. Instead of reacting immediately, take a pause, whether it's a few minutes or even an hour. Use this time to let emotions settle and reassess the situation from a rational perspective. More often than not, you'll find that your initial urge to retaliate fades and a more measured, constructive response emerges. This act of pausing is like stepping back from a painting to see the bigger picture, enabling you to respond with intention rather than regret. Non-reaction also requires discerning the significance or lack thereof of provocations. Many insults or slights hold no real weight beyond what we assign them. When faced with a stranger's rude behavior, for example, remind yourself that their actions reflect their state of mind, not your worth. As Seneca wisely said, "If you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them." By choosing to disengage, you take control of your narrative and refuse to let another's negativity invade your mental space. This ability to detach from trivial irritations is a hallmark of modern Stoicism, offering a practical approach to everyday conflicts in our fast-paced lives. The transformative power of non-reaction becomes particularly evident in conflicts. Picture a heated argument where one party suddenly stops engaging with hostility. The tension often dissipates, as conflict requires active participation from both sides. When you choose silence or a thoughtful, measured response, you effectively disarm the other person and diffuse the situation. This principle can also extend to social media or online debates, where refraining from engagement in fruitless arguments often leaves you feeling more empowered and less drained. By practicing non-reaction, you become the master of your energy, conserving it for pursuits that truly matter. It's essential to understand that non-reaction is not about avoiding responsibility or running from problems. Rather, it's about consciously deciding where your energy is best spent. Responding with intention, rather than emotion, ensures that your actions are aligned with your long-term values and goals. This shift empowers you to navigate provocations with grace and composure, transforming potential conflicts into opportunities for growth. As you practice this skill, you'll find yourself less swayed by external chaos and more grounded in your inner calm. Non-reaction is an act of liberation. It frees you from the grip of emotional impulses, allowing you to maintain control over your actions and preserve your peace of mind. In today's hyper-connected and often emotionally charged world, the ability to pause, reflect, and choose your response is invaluable. By mastering non-reaction, you not only strengthen your own mental resilience, but also inspire those around you to approach life's challenges with similar grace. This, in essence, is the power of modern Stoicism, equipping us with timeless tools to rise above provocations and focus on what truly matters in life. What's one moment when you stayed calm instead of reacting? Was it a rude comment from a coworker or someone cutting in line? Share your answer in the comments below. And don't forget to watch until the end of this video. We've saved the 3 most surprising and powerful Stoic insights for last. Trust me, you won't want to miss them. Number 7. Find joy in selflessness. One of the most profound ways to cultivate inner peace and free yourself from anger is by embracing selflessness, a concept deeply rooted in Stoic philosophy. Selflessness, as the Stoics teach, is not about neglecting your own needs, but about understanding the mutual benefits of kindness. Marcus Aurelius beautifully expressed this in Meditations. When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love. This mindset encourages us to approach life with gratitude and a spirit of giving, recognizing that acts of kindness nurture not only the recipient but also the giver. In the context of modern Stoicism, practicing selflessness is a way to dissolve anger and resentment while fostering a deeper sense of connection and purpose. Forgiveness stands as one of the most impactful expressions of selflessness. Anger and resentment often feel justified, yet they weigh us down emotionally, robbing us of peace. For example, if a family member frequently criticizes you, the natural reaction might be to harbor resentment. However, understanding that their negativity often stems from their own struggles enables you to let go of your anger. As Seneca wisely observed, "He who is injured ought not to return the injury, for on no account must we imitate the wrongdoer." Forgiveness, therefore, is not about excusing harmful actions, but about liberating yourself from the toxic grip of resentment, allowing you to move forward unburdened and more at peace. Acts of kindness, even in small doses, are another powerful way to practice selflessness and foster tranquility. Imagine assisting a colleague who is overwhelmed by deadlines or offering a kind word to a stranger. While these actions might not provide immediate benefits to you, they cultivate a sense of purpose and connection that enhances your well-being. Modern research aligns with ancient Stoic wisdom, showing that altruism boosts happiness and reduces stress. Seneca also noted the universal potential for kindness. Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness. By shifting your focus from self-interest to helping others, you not only create a ripple effect of positivity, but also reinforce your own mental resilience and contentment. Selflessness can be seamlessly integrated into daily life through simple yet meaningful actions. Holding the door for a stranger, listening attentively to a friend, or volunteering your time for a cause you believe in may seem minor, yet these gestures carry immense power. Such actions shift your mindset from scarcity, focusing on what you lack, to abundance, appreciating what you have to give. This perspective not only improves your interactions with others, but also enhances your sense of gratitude and fulfillment. By giving freely, you cultivate an internal state of abundance and joy, aligning yourself with the Stoic view that the good life is rooted in virtue and contribution. Moreover, selflessness strengthens relationships by fostering empathy and understanding. When you approach others with patience and compassion, especially during their moments of struggle, you create deeper connections and mutual respect. For instance, if a coworker lashes out under stress, Choosing to respond with empathy rather than criticism can transform the dynamic, fostering collaboration and trust. As Epictetus suggested, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. This advice underscores the power of active listening and compassion in building stronger, more harmonious relationships. Selflessness reflects the Stoic belief in contributing to the greater good. It reminds us that we are all interconnected and that our actions, no matter how small, ripple outward, influencing the world around us. By focusing on kindness and generosity, you align with the Stoic ideal of living in harmony with nature and society. This practice not only enhances your personal peace of mind, but also contributes to the collective well-being of those around you. In the end, by finding joy in selflessness, you transcend anger and frustration, creating a life filled with meaning, connection, and enduring inner freedom. Number 8. Value your time. Value your time. It is the most precious resource you have, yet it's so often squandered on things that neither enrich your life nor align with your deeper purpose. The Stoics understood this profoundly, emphasizing that how we choose to spend our time shapes the quality of our lives. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You could be good today, but instead, you choose to waste your time. What is it that stops you from being good? Is it fear or laziness?" It's a sobering reminder that time once lost can never be regained. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself how many of your daily actions are driven by habit or distraction rather than intention? Whether it's fretting over minor inconveniences like waiting in line, or spending hours mindlessly scrolling through social media, these moments add up. Stoicism challenges you to become intentional about your time, directing it toward what truly matters, and discarding the trivialities that pull you away from your goals and values. This is one of the most transformative Stoic secrets: to recognize that guarding your time is guarding your life. Imagine this scenario. You're at a family dinner, but instead of being fully present, you're mentally replaying an argument you had at work. You're losing not only the moment, but also the opportunity to connect with loved ones. Now, consider the wisdom of the Stoic approach. Disengage from conflicts that don't serve you, redirect your energy, and focus on what truly counts. It's about asking yourself, does this situation deserve my time and attention? Most of the time, the answer is no. The power to simply let go of what doesn't matter is a skill worth cultivating. Think of how often we exhaust ourselves trying to control things outside our reach: an unkind word, an uncooperative colleague, or a small annoyance in traffic. What if instead you chose to prioritize your peace of mind over these petty disturbances? How much time could you save for things that genuinely fulfill you? Let me share a modern story to bring this lesson to life. A successful entrepreneur once found himself overwhelmed by constant emails, trivial meetings, and endless distractions. His days felt like a blur of busyness without meaning. After reading Seneca's famous words, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it," he made a radical change. He began starting each day by identifying 3 things that aligned with his core goals: personal, professional, and relational, and focused his energy there. As he eliminated unnecessary obligations, he found himself not only more productive, but also more at peace. Could you benefit from a similar approach? Imagine identifying what truly matters in your life and letting go of everything else. What would your days look like? Valuing your time also means learning to say no. This is especially true when it comes to people or activities that drain your energy without adding value. It might mean setting boundaries with a friend who constantly complains or limiting how much time you spend on social media. These decisions aren't always easy, but they're necessary. By saying no to distractions, you're saying yes to your priorities, to personal growth, and to relationships that nourish you. Stoicism teaches us to measure our actions against our values. If something doesn't align with who you want to be or what you want to accomplish, why give it your time? Another profound aspect of this principle is reflecting on the impermanence of life. Our time is finite, and every day is a gift. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself of this truth, writing, "You could leave life right now." Let that determine what you do and say and think. It's not a morbid thought. It's a call to action. When you deeply understand that your time is limited, you stop wasting it on things that don't matter. You start making choices that reflect your highest self and your deepest values. How would your life change if you treated each moment as an opportunity to grow, to connect, and to contribute? Valuing your time empowers you to live with purpose. It's about recognizing that your time isn't just hours on a clock. It's the essence of your life. Each moment you waste is a moment you can't get back, but each moment you use wisely brings you closer to a life of meaning and fulfillment. The next time you feel tempted to dwell on an argument, engage in pointless drama, or lose yourself in distractions, ask yourself, is this the best use of my time? Does this contribute to my well-being or my goals? By reflecting on these questions and embracing the Stoic secrets of intentionality and presence, you can reclaim your time, avoid unnecessary stress, and create a life that truly matters. The choice is yours. How will you spend the most valuable resource you'll ever have? Number 9. Cultivate patience. Patience is not merely a virtue but a powerful tool central to the teachings of Stoicism and modern Stoicism alike. It equips us to endure life's challenges with composure, allowing us to navigate delays, setbacks, and difficult interactions without succumbing to frustration or anger. The Stoics viewed patience not as passive resignation, but as an active process of acceptance and adaptation. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, posed a reflective question: how much time you want to waste on these things that don't matter? Be patient, and you will be calm. This timeless advice reminds us that by fostering patience, we can channel our energy toward meaningful actions rather than unnecessary agitation. In today's fast-paced, instant gratification society, cultivating patience can feel like swimming against the current. From next-day deliveries to instant messaging, we are conditioned to expect immediate results, and the slightest delay can spark frustration. However, Stoicism teaches us that true peace arises not from controlling circumstances, but from accepting them. Patience helps us acknowledge that waiting and enduring discomfort are integral aspects of life. It gives us the space to process our emotions, allowing us to make decisions rooted in reason rather than reaction. For instance, when stuck in traffic or waiting in a long line, the temptation to grow impatient is strong, but such irritation only compounds the discomfort. Instead, Stoics encourage us to use these moments constructively, focusing on our breathing, reflecting on the day, or practicing gratitude. As Seneca observed, the greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which depends on tomorrow and wastes today. Patience is equally vital in managing relationships, where rushing to judgment or demanding immediate change from others often leads to unnecessary tension. By exercising patience, we allow others the time and space to grow, while also granting ourselves the clarity to process our emotions and avoid impulsive reactions. For example, if a loved one exhibits a behavior that bothers you, it's tempting to confront them immediately. However, pausing to reflect often leads to a more measured, compassionate response, fostering better communication and deeper understanding. This principle applies broadly to interpersonal dynamics, from family disputes to workplace interactions, underscoring that patience is a cornerstone of harmony and conflict resolution. Developing patience requires deliberate practice, and one effective strategy is learning to delay your response. When faced with an upsetting comment or an irritating situation, pause before reacting. This brief moment of reflection allows your emotions to settle, enabling you to respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. Over time, this practice strengthens your ability to remain calm in the face of provocation, empowering you to choose actions that align with your values. As Epictetus aptly put it, "No great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig." If you tell me you desire a fig, I answer you that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen. Patience also reminds us of the insignificance of many of the irritations we face. A delayed flight, a rude remark, or an unexpected setback may feel like substantial inconveniences, but viewed through the lens of Stoicism, they are minor disturbances in the grand scheme of life. By cultivating a broader perspective, you free yourself from the grip of momentary frustrations. This ability to see beyond the immediate allows you to conserve your energy for what truly matters, fostering resilience and mental clarity in the process. Patience is about moving through life with a calm, steady presence. It liberates you from the emotional turbulence of irritation and enables you to approach challenges with grace and wisdom. In embracing patience, you create space for greater peace within yourself and foster deeper connections with those around you. It is not about giving in to life's difficulties, but about rising above them with a clear and composed mind. Modern Stoicism highlights the transformative power of this practice, showing us that by choosing patience, we not only navigate life's complexities more effectively, but also inspire others to do the same. Through patience, you become a living example of strength and tranquility, embodying the Stoic ideal of a resilient and balanced soul. What's one act of selflessness you've done recently? Was it helping a colleague, forgiving someone, or sharing kind words with a stranger? Share your choice in the comments below, and make sure to watch until the end. Our final 2 lessons are packed with surprising insights that could completely shift how you see your life and time. Don't miss out. Number 10. Adopt a wider perspective. Adopting a wider perspective is one of the most effective ways to overcome anger and frustration, a lesson deeply embedded in Stoic philosophy. When we hyper-focus on a specific problem or annoyance, it can feel insurmountable, but stepping back helps us recognize its true scale and often reveals it to be far less significant than it initially seemed. Marcus Aurelius captured this wisdom in Meditations. Think of the life of your ancestors and how all things pass away in a short time. This insight reminds us that most struggles are temporary and that our personal difficulties are mere moments in the vast, ongoing flow of life. Modern Stoicism encourages us to embrace this perspective, especially in today's fast-paced world, where minor setbacks can easily spiral into overwhelming stress if left unchecked. When challenges arise, it is natural to be swept up by immediate emotions like anger, frustration, or disappointment. For instance, criticism from a colleague or an unexpected delay might initially feel personal or unfair. However, adopting a broader perspective enables you to pause and see these events for what they are, temporary disruptions rather than life-defining moments. By zooming out, you can recognize that such instances are fleeting in the context of your entire life, allowing you to respond with calm and reason rather than reacting emotionally. Seneca's timeless advice, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality," underscores how much of our distress stems from how we perceive a situation rather than the situation itself. By reframing these moments with a wider lens, you gain clarity and avoid unnecessary turmoil. This perspective is particularly valuable in interpersonal conflicts, where emotions often run high. Take, for example, a disagreement with a colleague. In the heat of the moment, it might feel deeply personal or irreparably damaging, but when you consider the bigger picture, your overall relationship with this person, the pressures they might be facing, and how small this conflict is in the grand scheme of your career, you begin to see the situation differently. This shift in perspective not only reduces your emotional distress, but also fosters empathy, as you realize that others are often acting out of their own struggles rather than malice. As Epictetus said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." By responding with understanding rather than anger, you can preserve relationships and maintain your peace of mind. A wider perspective also helps combat the dissatisfaction that arises from comparing yourself to others, a habit that often leads to frustration and self-doubt. In our modern world of social media and constant connectivity, it's easy to measure your success against someone else's achievements, creating feelings of inadequacy or envy. However, Stoicism teaches that everyone follows their own unique path, shaped by their circumstances, opportunities, and challenges. Comparing yourself to others is not only unproductive, but also detracts from your ability to appreciate your own journey. Marcus Aurelius reminds us of the futility of comparison in Meditations. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. By focusing on your progress and accepting where you are, you cultivate gratitude for your life as it is, free from the weight of external comparisons. Cultivating a broader perspective also transforms how you approach daily frustrations, helping you find gratitude and acceptance in the moment. A delayed flight, for example, might initially provoke irritation, but stepping back allows you to see it as an opportunity, perhaps to catch up on reading, connect with a loved one, or simply practice patience. Similarly, a project setback at work can feel catastrophic in the moment, but a wider perspective reveals it as part of a much larger journey of growth and improvement. By consciously choosing to view these events within a greater context, you free yourself from the trap of immediate desires and frustrations, allowing you to respond with a sense of calm and purpose. Adopting a wider perspective aligns with the Stoic goal of living in harmony with nature and understanding our place in the larger scheme of things. This practice not only reduces stress and anger, but also fosters a profound sense of gratitude for life as it unfolds. It reminds us that our struggles, no matter how significant they feel, are often just small chapters in the broader narrative of our lives. By stepping back, you gain the clarity to navigate challenges with grace and the wisdom to find peace in even the most difficult moments. Modern Stoicism encourages us to use this principle as a tool for living a more grounded, contented life, one where anger and frustration have no lasting hold on us, and serenity becomes our natural state. Number 11. Find peace in nature. Find peace in nature. The Stoics deeply understood the power of the natural world to restore our inner balance, calm our minds, and remind us of the vast, interconnected beauty of life. Marcus Aurelius in his Meditations often urged himself to look to the heavens, look to nature, as a way to ground his perspective and reconnect with the grand rhythm of existence. Nature has a unique ability to strip away the chaos of daily life, offering clarity and peace in its simplicity. Think of the quiet serenity of a forest trail, the rhythmic crashing of ocean waves, or the awe-inspiring vastness of a starry night sky. These experiences are more than just beautiful. They are humbling reminders of life's impermanence and the constancy of change. Flowers bloom and fade, storms come and go, and the seasons turn without resistance. These cycles teach us patience and acceptance, showing us that our struggles too will pass as part of life's greater flow. This is one of the most practical Stoic secrets for staying unbothered, learning to draw strength from nature's timeless wisdom. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the noise of responsibilities, technology, and endless demands. But have you ever noticed how a simple walk in the park can leave you feeling lighter? There's something almost magical about stepping away from screens, schedules, and stress to immerse yourself in nature. Science backs this up. Studies show that spending time outdoors reduces stress, lifts your mood, and even enhances cognitive function. Yet the Stoics understood this long before researchers confirmed it. To them, nature was a teacher, offering lessons in resilience, patience, and interconnectedness. For example, consider a tree that weathers a storm. Its branches may sway and bend, but it doesn't resist the wind. It adapts, rooted firmly in the ground. How often do we fight against life's storms, resisting what we cannot control, instead of bending gracefully and standing strong in our own roots? A modern story perfectly illustrates this. A young professional, stressed by the pressures of an ambitious career, began hiking on weekends to escape the grind. At first, it felt like a chore, just another thing to schedule. But one day, as she sat quietly on a mountain ledge watching the sunrise, she felt a profound sense of calm. The endless emails, office politics, and minor frustrations suddenly seemed insignificant in the face of the vast landscape before her. That moment became her sanctuary, a place she would return to whenever life felt overwhelming. How often do you give yourself permission to step away, breathe deeply, and simply exist within the stillness of nature? Engaging with nature isn't about grand adventures, it's about presence. Even small moments like pausing to admire a blooming flower or listening to birdsong can anchor you in the present and remind you of life's simple joys. These experiences offer perspective, showing us that our anxieties are fleeting and that beauty surrounds us, even in our most challenging times. When we take the time to immerse ourselves in nature, we gain clarity about our priorities and our place in the world. Are we spending too much energy on things that don't matter? Are we missing the bigger picture? The Stoics believed that peace comes from aligning ourselves with the natural order of the world, and nature provides the perfect setting for this alignment. It offers space to reflect, to be still, and to connect with something greater than ourselves. When life feels overwhelming, a return to nature can reset your mind and spirit. It's a chance to recharge, recalibrate, and return to daily life with a renewed sense of calm and purpose. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that everything is interconnected. By stepping into nature, we see this truth in action: how the rivers carve their paths, how the sun rises without fail, and how each element works together in harmony. How might your own life improve if you embrace this sense of connection and harmony? Making time for nature is making time for yourself. It's a way to care for your mental and emotional well-being, to find peace amidst life's chaos, and to cultivate gratitude for the beauty of the world around you. Whether you spend an afternoon hiking, sit quietly by a lake, or simply watch the clouds drift by, these moments in nature remind you of life's simplicity and resilience. They teach you to let go of what doesn't matter and focus on what does. So the next time you feel weighed down by stress, step outside, take a deep breath, and let the wisdom of nature guide you back to peace. After all, the greatest Stoic secrets often lie in the simplest places. How will you create space to experience the serenity that nature has to offer? Thanks for watching Stoic in Your Life. The 11 principles we've explored, like embracing willingness, focusing on the present, and adopting a broader perspective, aren't just philosophical ideas. They're powerful tools for transforming your everyday life, helping you cultivate inner peace and emotional resilience. Which of these principles resonates best with you? Let us know in the comments below. Start by implementing just one principle today, whether it's practicing patience in traffic or letting go of what you can't control, and notice the difference it makes. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and family to spread the wisdom of Stoicism and bring more peace to the world. Together, let's embark on this journey toward a calmer, happier life. Subscribe for more details, and I'll see you in the next video. The Art of Thinking Clearly, Marcus Aurelius Epictetus. Welcome back to Stoic in Your Life. Today we're diving even deeper into the Stoic mindset with The Art of Thinking Clearly. A crucial part of living a fulfilled life. Imagine your mind as a ship navigating through the ocean of life. Without clarity, it gets tossed around by waves of doubt, confusion, and bias. But what if you could steer your thoughts with precision, avoiding the storms of misguided beliefs? That's exactly what Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus taught us: how to develop mental clarity and make sound decisions based on reason. In this episode, we'll explore the timeless Stoic practices that will help you master clear thinking. We'll uncover how to silence mental clutter, escape the trap of cognitive distortions, and focus on what truly matters. You'll also learn how to apply these ancient techniques to everyday life, building resilience, focus, and inner peace. So, if you're ready to cut through the noise, strengthen your mental clarity, and elevate your decision-making, let's dive right in. And remember, if you find value in this episode, give it a thumbs up, share it with those who could benefit, and let's spread the wisdom of Stoicism together. Lesson 1. Mind Makeover. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. This timeless quote from one of Stoicism's greatest minds sets the foundation for today's exploration of the art of thinking clearly, a subject vital for every man striving to lead a more fulfilled and meaningful life. For men aged 30 to 65, navigating life's complexities with clarity of mind is essential. As we progress in our careers, relationships, and personal development, mental clarity becomes a crucial tool in handling everyday challenges. It's not just about thinking harder, it's about thinking smarter, stripping away distractions and biases to focus on what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This concept is central to the Stoic philosophy and resonates deeply with the idea that what we think determines how we experience life. As we embark on this journey to a mental makeover, it's critical to understand that many of our thoughts are shaped by habit and external influences. We've been conditioned, whether by society, our upbringing, or the expectations placed on us, to think in certain ways. However, the Stoics taught that we must become the architects of our minds. Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This is the essence of Stoic thought. It's about recognizing that while external events are beyond our control, our response, our thoughts, are entirely within our power. This mindset is freeing because it allows us to shift from being reactive to being intentional about our thinking. Now, let's expand on this idea of a mind makeover. What does it truly mean to make over your mind? At its core, it's about taking conscious control over what you allow yourself to think about. Think of your mind like a garden. If you neglect it, weeds, negative thoughts, irrational fears, unproductive habits will grow. But if you tend to it carefully, you can cultivate positive, rational, and empowering thoughts. This concept is deeply relevant in modern life, where we are constantly bombarded by negativity, whether from the media, social networks, or even our personal environments. One modern challenge many men face is dealing with stress, whether it's related to career pressures, family responsibilities, or personal expectations. But with the right mindset, you can turn stress into fuel for growth. As Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." In this way, a mental makeover isn't just about positive thinking. It's about recognizing and eliminating the unnecessary thoughts that cloud your judgment and distort your reality. To further this point, let's look at how a mental makeover can directly impact your life today. Have you ever caught yourself trapped in a cycle of worrying about things you cannot control? The Stoics had a solution for this called the dichotomy of control, which urges us to focus only on what we can influence: our thoughts, our actions, and our judgments. Everything else, how others act, outcomes beyond our reach, should be dismissed as irrelevant to our inner peace. When you begin to apply this Stoic principle, you'll notice a sense of liberation. You'll stop wasting mental energy on what others think of you, the uncontrollable future, or past mistakes. Instead, you'll redirect that energy to becoming the best version of yourself today. Epictetus also reminds us that man is disturbed not by things, but by the views he takes of them. This is crucial in understanding the power of a mind makeover. You hold the ability to change the narrative of any situation by choosing how to interpret it. Let's also address the role of habitual thinking. Most of us, by the time we reach our 30s, have settled into certain thought patterns, many of which are not serving us well. You might find yourself thinking the same unproductive thoughts over and over, thoughts that lead to self-doubt, hesitation, or even fear of failure. This is where the Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius, offer profound advice. He tells us, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Simply put, if you constantly dwell on negative, fearful, or resentful thoughts, that's how your life will feel. But if you train your mind to focus on positivity, gratitude, and wisdom, your life will transform accordingly. This is not about denying reality or being overly optimistic. It's about shaping your reality by choosing what thoughts to nurture and which ones to discard. As we practice the mind makeover, we must also consider the importance of mental discipline, something the Stoics were well versed in. Training your mind to think clearly is not a one-time event. It's a daily practice. Just as you would exercise your body, you must exercise your mind. This means setting aside time for reflection, meditation, or simply being mindful of your thoughts throughout the day. In a world where distractions are constant and our attention is often divided, this practice becomes even more critical. You cannot expect clarity if your mind is cluttered with unnecessary thoughts and distractions. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." This retreat into your own mind allows you to assess your thoughts, sort out the useful from the unhelpful, and ensure that your mental state aligns with your higher purpose. In modern life, this practice can be incredibly empowering. With so many things competing for your attention, work deadlines, family obligations, social media notifications, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. But by applying Stoic principles to create a mental makeover, you regain control. You learn to focus on what matters, to let go of distractions, and to find peace in the present moment. This doesn't mean ignoring life's responsibilities, but handling them with a clear mind and an unwavering focus on what you can control. Finally, let's talk about the role of resilience. As you train your mind to think clearly and cultivate better mental habits, you'll find yourself more resilient in the face of life's challenges. The Stoics believed that adversity was not something to fear, but rather an opportunity to grow. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In this sense, when you face obstacles, whether in your career, personal life, or relationships, you can view them as opportunities to strengthen your character. A mind that has undergone a makeover is not easily shaken by setbacks or failures. Instead, it sees them as part of the journey toward wisdom and self-improvement. Embarking on a mental makeover is about more than just thinking positively. It's about adopting a Stoic mindset that emphasizes clarity, self-awareness, and rational thinking. It's about realizing that you have the power to control your thoughts and, in doing so, control how you experience life. As you apply these lessons from Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, you'll begin to notice profound changes, not just in how you think, but in how you live. So take this time to focus on reshaping your thoughts, guarding your mind, and embracing the power of clear thinking. With these tools, you'll not only navigate life's challenges with greater ease, but also unlock a deeper sense of fulfillment and purpose. Lesson 2. Guard your mind. When it comes to achieving clarity in life, one of the greatest insights we can learn from Stoic philosophy is the importance of guarding your mind. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." In today's fast-paced, chaotic world, where distractions constantly pull our attention away from what matters, this timeless lesson is more relevant than ever. Whether it's social media, news, or the pressures of daily life, it's easy to let your mind become overwhelmed with negativity and unproductive thoughts. But how often do you pause to think about what you allow into your mind? Epictetus once noted, "You become what you give your attention to," which is a powerful reminder that the thoughts we entertain shape who we are. You have the power to control what enters your mind, and in doing so, you influence how you perceive and respond to the world around you. Let me ask you, When was the last time you truly took stock of the information you consume daily? From the constant scrolling through your phone to the conversations you engage in, everything contributes to the landscape of your mind. Have you ever found yourself feeling anxious, stressed, or angry after spending time on social media or reading the news? That's no coincidence. The information you allow into your mental space has a profound impact on your mood, your decisions, and ultimately your happiness. Think of your mind like a castle. It's your most precious asset, and you wouldn't let just anyone walk through its gates without a second thought. The same principle applies to your thoughts. You must guard the gates of your mind with vigilance, being selective about the ideas, conversations, and media you allow in. In modern life, this concept becomes even more crucial. Let's say you wake up in the morning and the first thing you do is check your phone. Instantly, you're bombarded with emails, news updates, and social media notifications. Before you've even had time to think for yourself, you're reacting to the outside world. Now picture how different your day might be if you began it by taking a moment to center yourself, maybe with a quiet reflection or a few minutes of gratitude. It's not about cutting yourself off from the world, but about being intentional with what you consume. As Marcus Aurelius observed, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. In this way, if you constantly surround yourself with negativity, drama, or superficial content, your thoughts, and thus your life, will reflect that. Consider this story. A man who worked in a high-stress corporate job spent his days feeling overwhelmed. He would wake up, check his emails, and dive headfirst into work, never giving himself a break to filter out unnecessary stressors. Over time, he noticed that his mental health was deteriorating, and he felt disconnected from the things that once brought him joy. One day, he decided to make a change. Instead of starting his day with emails, he began his mornings with a few minutes of quiet reflection, reading a passage from Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, and spending time with his family before work. He also limited his time on social media and cut out toxic relationships that drained his energy. Within weeks, he noticed a significant improvement in his mood, his focus, and his overall sense of well-being. By guarding his mind and being more intentional about what he allowed into his mental space, he was able to regain control over his life. This raises an important question for you. How are you guarding your mind today? Are you allowing negativity and distractions to dominate your thoughts? Or are you consciously choosing what to focus on? The Stoics teach us that while we can't control everything that happens in the world, we can control how we interpret and respond to those events. This begins with guarding your mind. When you find yourself in situations where emotions start to rise, like in an argument with a loved one or a stressful meeting at work, take a moment to step back. Ask yourself, is this something I can control? How should I respond in a way that aligns with my values and long-term goals? By taking this pause, you allow yourself to filter out the noise and make decisions based on clarity rather than emotion. Epictetus once said, "Man is disturbed not by things, but by the views he takes of them." This speaks directly to the heart of guarding your mind. It's not about blocking out the world or living in denial of reality, but about changing your perspective on what truly matters. Every day you have the opportunity to shape your thoughts in a way that serves you, rather than letting external events dictate your emotions and actions. And this is where true strength lies, not in controlling others or external circumstances, but in mastering your own mind. In our daily lives, it's easy to fall into the trap of reacting to every little annoyance or frustration. Perhaps someone cuts you off in traffic, or your coworker takes credit for your work. In these moments, it's tempting to react with anger or frustration, letting those emotions cloud your judgment. But what if you stopped and asked yourself, is this worth my peace of mind? More often than not, the answer is no. Guarding your mind means learning to let go of the trivial things that don't deserve your energy. It's about focusing on what you can control, your thoughts, your actions, and your responses, while letting go of the things you can't. So, what are some practical steps you can take to guard your mind starting today? First, take inventory of the content you consume. Whether it's the news, social media, or conversations with friends, ask yourself if these inputs are enriching your mind or draining it. Next, practice mindfulness. This could be as simple as taking a few deep breaths before reacting to a stressful situation or setting aside time each day for quiet reflection. Finally, surround yourself with people who uplift and inspire you. As Epictetus wisely said, the key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. This doesn't mean you cut everyone out of your life, but it does mean being intentional about who you spend your time with. The lesson here is simple yet profound. You are the gatekeeper of your mind. What you allow in will shape your thoughts, your decisions, and ultimately, your life. By learning to guard your mind, you gain the power to create a mental space that fosters peace, clarity, and resilience. So, as you go about your day, remember to be mindful of your thoughts and what you expose your mind to. Choose wisely, because the quality of your life depends on it. Lesson 3. Reality check. When we think about how we perceive the world, it's important to remember that our thoughts and perceptions aren't always as clear as we believe. This is where Stoicism, particularly the teachings of Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, provides us with a powerful lesson: the importance of a reality check. Marcus Aurelius said, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." This timeless reminder urges us to question our initial perceptions and avoid taking everything at face value. In today's world, where information is constantly thrown at us from every direction, it's easy to get lost in a sea of opinions, biases, and assumptions. But how often do we take a step back and ask ourselves, is this really true? How much of what we think we know is based on clear thinking rather than distorted by emotions or outside influences? Let's break this down. Your perception of reality is often shaped by your own experiences, biases, and emotions, but Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This means that while external events may be out of your control, your thoughts and interpretations of those events are within your power. But here's where we often get tripped up. We confuse our subjective experiences with objective reality. We tend to believe that the way we see the world is the way it truly is, and that can lead to flawed decisions, misunderstandings, and unnecessary stress. How many times have you found yourself upset or frustrated, only to realize later that the situation wasn't as bad as you first thought? Or perhaps you formed an opinion about someone based on a single interaction, only to realize later that you were wrong. This is why a reality check is crucial, and it starts with acknowledging that our thoughts are not always accurate reflections of the truth. Think about a time when you felt certain about something, but it turned out that you were mistaken. Maybe you assumed a colleague was trying to undermine you, only to find out later that they were actually trying to help. Or perhaps you've judged a situation as unfair or hopeless, only to realize later that you missed some key information. This happens to all of us because our minds are prone to jumping to conclusions, especially when emotions are involved. As humans, we naturally seek patterns and make quick judgments, but often these judgments are based on incomplete information or preconceived notions. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Don't be overheard complaining, not even to yourself." This is a reminder to be cautious about the stories we tell ourselves. Complaining, jumping to conclusions, or assuming the worst doesn't help us see the world clearly. It only distorts our view. So how can we train ourselves to think more clearly and avoid falling into the trap of distorted thinking? One way to practice clear thinking is by asking yourself a simple but powerful question. What evidence do I have for this belief? For example, if you're feeling frustrated with a situation at work, stop for a moment and consider whether your frustration is based on facts or assumptions. Are you reacting to something someone said or did without fully understanding their intentions? Could there be more to the story than what you initially perceived? Asking these questions encourages you to take a step back and evaluate your thoughts more objectively. This is where a reality check comes into play. By challenging your assumptions and seeking evidence for your beliefs, you gain clarity and reduce the risk of making decisions based on faulty thinking. And remember, as Epictetus put it, we are disturbed not by things, but by the views we take of them. Let's bring this idea into a modern context. In today's fast-paced, interconnected world, we're constantly bombarded by news, opinions, and social media updates. It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of information and take everything we see or hear as fact. But how often do we stop to question the validity of what's being presented to us? For example, if you read a headline that sparks fear or outrage, do you automatically believe it, or do you dig deeper to find the facts? In an age of information overload, practicing a Stoic reality check is more important than ever. It's about being discerning and mindful of the information you allow into your mind. Remember Marcus Aurelius's words, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If you fill your mind with fear, anger, or negativity, your outlook on life will reflect those emotions. On the other hand, if you approach life with clarity, reason, and calmness, your experience of the world will shift accordingly. Now let's consider a real-life story. Imagine someone you know constantly stresses about the news, always assuming the worst and reacting emotionally to every story they hear. Their anxiety rises every time there's a new crisis, and they can't seem to separate themselves from the negativity. They are, in a sense, letting external events control their internal peace. But what if they took a step back and applied a Stoic reality check? What if they asked themselves, what's within my control here? And is this really worth my emotional energy? By focusing on what they can influence and letting go of what they cannot, they would reduce their anxiety and gain a sense of control over their own thoughts. This is the power of clear thinking. It helps you navigate life's challenges without being swept away by external chaos. A key takeaway from Stoicism is that you must continually practice examining your thoughts and perceptions. Whenever you find yourself feeling overwhelmed, frustrated, or certain of something without enough evidence, pause and ask yourself, is this reality, or just my interpretation of it? The goal is not to deny your feelings or ignore the realities of life, but to ensure that your thoughts are grounded in clarity and reason, rather than impulsive reactions. As Marcus Aurelius wisely put it, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Practicing a reality check as taught by Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus helps you navigate through life with greater clarity and wisdom. It allows you to separate your emotions from the facts and make decisions based on a clear understanding of the situation. This is a lifelong practice that can improve your relationships, reduce your stress, and help you live with a sense of inner peace. So, the next time you find yourself in a difficult situation, take a moment to pause, evaluate your thoughts, and ask, am I seeing this clearly? The answer may surprise you, and it may lead to a more thoughtful, reasoned response. By applying these Stoic principles to your life, you'll be better equipped to handle whatever challenges come your way, with the confidence that you are thinking clearly and acting wisely. Lesson 4. Stay grounded. Staying grounded is one of the most important lessons we can take from the teachings of Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus. In today's world, filled with distractions, constant pressures, and expectations, it can be easy to lose sight of what truly matters. But the Stoics understood something profound about human nature. Our ability to stay grounded in the midst of external chaos is essential for inner peace and clarity. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." This statement reminds us that no matter what happens outside of us, we can always retreat inward, find our center, and regain a sense of calm. This practice is vital, especially for men aged 30 to 65, who often face the pressures of career demands, family responsibilities, and personal goals. Staying grounded means not letting these external factors dictate your inner state, but instead remaining focused on what you can control: your thoughts, actions, and responses. To truly understand what it means to stay grounded, Let's consider how the Stoics approached life. Epictetus taught, "It's not what happens to you but how you react to it that matters." In essence, life will throw challenges your way, difficult situations, setbacks, and unexpected events. You cannot control these external circumstances, but you can always control how you respond. This idea of focusing on what's within your control is central to staying grounded. When you find yourself stressed or overwhelmed, ask yourself, what part of this situation can I control? And what part is outside my influence? By focusing on the controllable, you reduce anxiety and increase your ability to navigate life's obstacles with calm and clarity. In modern life, staying grounded can feel like a constant battle. From the moment you wake up, you're bombarded by notifications, emails, social media, and the demands of daily life. It's easy to get swept up in the frenzy of it all, feeling like you're constantly reacting to what's happening around you. But staying grounded is about taking back control of your time and your mental energy. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. In other words, much of the stress we experience comes from how we interpret events, not the events themselves. If you can change the way you think about a situation, you can change how it affects you. Let's take an example from everyday life. Suppose you're at work, and a deadline is suddenly moved up, creating immense pressure. Your initial reaction might be panic or frustration, but what if you paused and thought, I can't control the deadline, but I can control how I manage my time and focus. By shifting your perspective, you remain grounded, handling the situation with calm and logic rather than emotional reactivity. This practice doesn't just help in work situations, it applies to every aspect of life, from personal relationships to health challenges. When you stay grounded, you approach problems with a clear mind, making better decisions and maintaining your sense of inner peace. Another important aspect of staying grounded is not allowing success or failure to shake your sense of self. The Stoics believed that true strength lies in maintaining equanimity, regardless of what happens externally. Whether you experience success, praise, failure, or criticism, your sense of worth should not waver. Marcus Aurelius stated, "Receive without pride, let go without attachment." This means that you should neither let success inflate your ego, nor let failure bring you down. Staying grounded requires humility and perspective. Recognize that external achievements or setbacks are fleeting. They do not define your worth as a person. By adopting this mindset, you build resilience to the highs and lows of life. In a world obsessed with status and material success, this lesson is particularly valuable. Many people chase after recognition, wealth, and power, thinking that these things will bring happiness. But the Stoics knew that true fulfillment comes from within, from living in alignment with your values and staying true to who you are. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." Staying grounded means focusing on what truly matters: your character, your relationships, and your integrity. When you place your worth in external achievements, you make yourself vulnerable to disappointment and insecurity. But when you remain grounded in your values, you find lasting contentment. So how do you practice staying grounded in everyday life? First, create moments of stillness throughout your day. In the midst of busyness, take a few minutes to pause, breathe, and reflect. This can be as simple as stepping outside for fresh air, practicing deep breathing, or quietly contemplating your priorities. These moments allow you to reconnect with yourself and regain a sense of calm. Second, remember to keep your focus on what you can control. Whenever you feel overwhelmed, ask yourself, what can I influence here? And let go of the rest. Finally, practice gratitude. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." Gratitude shifts your attention away from what's lacking or stressful and helps you appreciate the present moment. Now, I ask you, what steps will you take today to stay grounded in your life? How will you manage the inevitable challenges that come your way with calm and clarity? By applying these Stoic principles, you can create a mental foundation that keeps you steady, no matter what life throws at you. Remember, staying grounded is not about escaping life's difficulties, but about facing them with strength and wisdom. As you go forward, let the teachings of Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus guide you toward greater peace, resilience, and clarity in all areas of your life. Thank you so much for being here and taking the time to watch this video on The Art of Thinking Clearly, with lessons from Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus. Now let me ask you, how do you practice clear thinking in your daily life, and which of these Stoic principles resonates most with you? I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. If you're not sure what to comment, feel free to share how you've applied Stoic ideas like focusing on what's within your control or staying present in the moment. Lesson 5. Embracing the beauty of I don't know. In a world where certainty is often equated with strength and success, admitting that we don't know something can feel uncomfortable, even daunting. But if we take a step back and look at this from the perspective of Stoic philosophy, we'll discover a surprising truth. There's immense power in acknowledging what we don't know. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The only thing we keep forever is what we give away." This quote may seem unrelated at first, but it highlights a Stoic principle that giving up our attachment to certainty and being open to admitting gaps in our knowledge actually frees us. It helps us become better learners, better thinkers, and ultimately, more grounded human beings. In many ways, being comfortable with I don't know is an invitation to grow, to seek deeper understanding rather than pretending we have all the answers. It's a mindset that helps us stay humble and encourages curiosity, which are essential components of a clear, rational mind. Let's think about the practical implications of this. Have you ever found yourself in a conversation where someone asks a question, and instead of admitting you don't know the answer, you felt pressured to give a response that may not be entirely accurate? Maybe it was in a work meeting, a social setting, or even during a discussion with family members. We've all been there. The fear of appearing uninformed can lead us to say things we're not entirely sure of, and over time, this becomes a habit that hinders our ability to learn. The Stoics remind us that true wisdom isn't about knowing everything. It's about knowing that there's always more to learn. Epictetus famously said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." By embracing the beauty of I don't know, we open ourselves up to new insights, more meaningful conversations, and opportunities for growth. Now let's bring this into modern life. Think about the vast amount of information we're bombarded with daily, from social media, the news, and conversations with friends. We often feel pressured to have opinions about everything, whether it's politics, economics, or the latest trends. But here's the reality. We can't possibly know everything about every topic, and that's okay. Admitting that you don't know something doesn't make you less intelligent. It makes you more honest with yourself and others. It also builds credibility because people trust those who can admit when they don't have all the answers. The next time you find yourself in a situation where you feel compelled to offer an opinion or an answer on something you're uncertain about, pause and ask yourself, is it better to pretend I know, or to be honest and say I'm not sure? Often the latter will lead to more genuine, productive discussions and allow you to seek out the knowledge you need. Here's a modern example of how embracing I don't know can be transformative. Let's say you're a manager at a company, and your team is looking to you for direction on a new project. You may feel that as the leader, you're expected to have all the answers, but what if you don't? Instead of scrambling to offer a solution you're not confident in, consider saying, "I'm not sure about the best approach yet, but let's work together to figure it out." This simple act of vulnerability not only relieves the pressure on you, but it also fosters a collaborative environment where others feel comfortable contributing their ideas. The result? A more innovative and thoughtful outcome that benefits everyone. As Marcus Aurelius advised, do not be ashamed of needing help. You have a duty to fulfill just like a soldier on the wall of battle. So what if you are injured and cannot climb without another soldier's help? Acknowledging what we don't know is not a weakness. It's a sign of strength and a pathway to wisdom. In our personal lives, this mindset can be equally liberating. How often do we fall into the trap of pretending to know what's best for others, whether it's offering advice to friends or family or making assumptions about their situations? The truth is, we don't always have the full picture. By admitting that we don't know everything, we create space for listening and learning. We start to approach conversations with a sense of curiosity rather than judgment. For example, instead of assuming you know why someone is struggling, you might ask, "Can you help me understand what's going on?" This question opens the door to deeper connection and a more genuine understanding of their experience. As Epictetus pointed out, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. So how can we start embracing the beauty of "I don't know" in our daily lives? First, practice being honest with yourself. When you encounter a situation where you don't have all the facts, resist the urge to fill in the gaps with assumptions or guesses. Instead, acknowledge the uncertainty and commit to finding the truth. This might mean asking more questions, doing your own research, or simply admitting that you're not sure. Secondly, create a mindset that views learning as an ongoing process. The world is constantly changing, and there will always be new things to learn, unlearn, and relearn. By staying open to new information and perspectives, you keep your mind sharp and adaptable. At this point, you might be asking yourself, what does it really mean to live with the mindset of "I don't know"? The answer lies in humility and curiosity. These 2 traits are the foundation of wisdom because they allow you to navigate life with an open mind and a willingness to evolve. When we stop trying to be the person who has all the answers, we free ourselves from the stress of always being right. Instead, we focus on being engaged, thoughtful, and genuinely interested in the world around us. So, the next time you feel the pressure to know everything, remind yourself that wisdom comes from asking questions, not from pretending to have all the answers. Embracing the beauty of "I don't know" isn't about admitting defeat. It's about acknowledging the limits of our knowledge while staying open to new possibilities. It's a mindset that allows us to grow, to learn, and to connect more deeply with others. The Stoics understood that real wisdom comes not from knowing it all, but from recognizing how much there is still to discover. So, as you move forward in your journey of personal growth and clearer thinking, remember to ask yourself, am I truly seeking understanding, or am I just trying to appear knowledgeable? By choosing the path of curiosity and humility, you'll find that "I don't know" is not the end of knowledge, but the beginning. Lesson 6. Focus on priorities. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get overwhelmed by the sheer volume of things vying for our attention. Emails, social media, work demands, personal obligations. It seems like everything is fighting for space in our minds. But here's the truth. Not everything deserves your attention. This is where the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus comes into play. Both Stoic philosophers understood the importance of focusing on what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This quote is a stark reminder that our time is limited, and it emphasizes the need to concentrate on what is meaningful. So how do we do that? How do we figure out what's important when we're constantly pulled in 100 different directions? One of the core ideas in Stoic philosophy is the concept of control. Epictetus said, "Some things are within our control, and some things are not." This simple statement carries profound wisdom. When you think about it, how much of your time is spent worrying about things you can't control? Maybe it's the opinions of others, the state of the economy, or even the weather. The Stoics teach us to focus our energy on what we can control: our actions, our thoughts, and how we respond to the world around us. By doing so, we free ourselves from the burden of worrying about things we can't influence. It's about making a deliberate choice to focus on what matters, rather than letting the noise of life dictate where our attention goes. Ask yourself, how much mental energy do you spend on things that don't move you toward your goals? Is it really worth it? Focusing on priorities requires clarity. You need to take the time to figure out what your true priorities are. For Marcus Aurelius, this meant returning to his journal every day to remind himself of his values and purpose. In his meditations, he wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." This clear-mindedness allowed him to cut through the distractions and stay focused on what truly mattered to him, living a virtuous life. But what does that look like in your life? Are you spending your time on things that align with your values, or are you letting trivial matters dominate your day? The beauty of Stoic philosophy is that it offers practical guidance for modern life. By asking yourself what really matters and aligning your actions accordingly, you can cut through the noise and focus on what will bring you the most fulfillment. Let's take a look at a modern example. Imagine you're working on a big project at work, but you find yourself constantly interrupted by emails, meetings, and phone calls. Each interruption pulls you further away from the task at hand, and by the end of the day, you've made little progress on what really matters. Now consider how much more effective you would be if you set aside time to focus solely on your project, ignoring the distractions. This practice of focusing on priorities isn't just about managing your time. It's about managing your attention. As Marcus Aurelius pointed out, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. If your mind is constantly scattered, you'll never be able to make meaningful progress. But if you concentrate on what truly matters, you'll find that you're not only more productive, but also more fulfilled. This brings us to an important question. How do you determine your priorities? It starts by taking a step back and reflecting on what truly matters to you. Are you prioritizing your health, your relationships, and your personal growth? Or are you allowing work stress, social media, and the opinions of others to dictate how you spend your time? In the modern world, it's easy to fall into the trap of busyness, constantly doing, but not truly achieving anything of value. The Stoics teach us that it's not about doing more, it's about doing what's important. Epictetus reminds us, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. This means setting clear goals for yourself, then aligning your actions with those goals. By focusing on what's truly important, you're able to move forward with purpose, rather than being tossed around by the demands of the day. The key to focusing on priorities is learning to say no. This can be difficult, especially if you're someone who doesn't want to disappoint others. But the reality is, every time you say yes to something unimportant, you're saying no to something that matters. Think about it. How often have you found yourself agreeing to a meeting or a social obligation, only to regret it later because it took time away from something more important? Marcus Aurelius reminds us, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. In other words, don't waste your energy on things that don't contribute to your growth or well-being. Instead, focus on the actions that will help you become the person you want to be. Lesson 7. Live in the now. In a world constantly pulling us toward the next task, the next goal, or the next big thing, it's easy to lose sight of the present moment. We often find ourselves thinking about what we need to do tomorrow, dwelling on past mistakes, or worrying about the future. But Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, offers a powerful reminder in his Meditations. Confine yourself to the present. This simple yet profound statement teaches us the importance of living in the now, a lesson that is not just philosophical but deeply practical. Living in the moment, staying present, and focusing on the here and now is key to a life of clarity and purpose. For men aged 30 to 65, many of whom are navigating careers, relationships, and personal growth, this principle can provide the grounding needed to truly engage with life. Stoicism, particularly the teachings of Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, emphasizes that the past is beyond our control, and the future is uncertain. What we do have, however, is the present moment. As Epictetus wisely said, "How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself?" This quote challenges us to stop delaying the life we want to live by being overly focused on the past or future, and to start making the most of now. It's all too common to think, "I'll be happy when I get that promotion," or "I'll feel fulfilled once I achieve this goal." But this mindset only leads to constant chasing, never appreciating the value of where you are at this very moment. Living in the now means fully engaging with the present and appreciating it for what it is. Let's take a step back and apply this to modern life. How often do you find yourself scrolling through your phone while in the middle of a conversation or thinking about work when you're supposed to be relaxing with family? This kind of mental multitasking prevents you from experiencing the richness of life that's happening right in front of you. It's easy to think that juggling multiple tasks or thoughts at once makes you more productive. But in reality, it spreads your attention too thin. Marcus Aurelius offers a solution to this problem when he writes, "Do every act of your life as though it were the very last act of your life." This statement isn't about creating a sense of urgency or panic, but rather about approaching each moment with intention and focus, giving it your full attention as though nothing else matters. By doing so, you allow yourself to fully experience the moment, whether that's a conversation with a loved one, a walk in nature, or even the task of washing the dishes. There's a story about a man who spent his entire career climbing the corporate ladder, constantly chasing the next promotion, the next raise, and the next opportunity. He rarely spent time with his family and was always thinking about the future. One day, after finally reaching the top of his career, he looked back and realized that in his pursuit of success, he had missed out on the small moments, the laughter at the dinner table, the birthdays, the quiet evenings with his wife. This man, like so many of us, fell into the trap of thinking that life is something that will happen later, after achieving the next big goal. But the Stoics remind us that life is happening right now, in the everyday moments that we often overlook. How often do you catch yourself thinking, "I'll be happy when," or "things will be better once," but then, once you reach that goal, you set another one, and the cycle continues. The future becomes a never-ending chase, always out of reach. But by focusing on the present, you break that cycle. You start to notice the joy in the everyday, your morning coffee, the feeling of the sun on your face, the sound of laughter. Living in the now allows you to appreciate life as it unfolds, instead of waiting for some future moment to feel content. Marcus Aurelius understood this when he wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." He's telling us to stop overthinking and delaying action. The time to live, to act, to become who you want to be is right now. Let's think about how this applies to your daily routine. Maybe you're someone who spends your days rushing from one meeting to the next, barely taking a breath between tasks. You're constantly thinking about the next project or the next deadline. Living in the now doesn't mean you abandon your responsibilities, but it does mean you approach them with a different mindset. Instead of letting your mind race toward the next task, what if you gave your full attention to the meeting you're in? What if you focused solely on your current project instead of worrying about tomorrow's deadline? This kind of presence doesn't just improve your productivity, it also reduces stress because you're not overwhelmed by the constant noise of future worries. Epictetus reminds us, "Don't let the force of an impression when it first hits you knock you off your feet. Just say to it, 'Hold on a moment. Let me see who you are and what you represent. Let me put you to the test.'" In other words, don't let distractions or anxieties pull you away from the present moment. Pause, reflect, and choose to focus on what's in front of you. Now, how can we practice living in the now in a world that is constantly pulling us toward distractions? It starts with mindfulness, being aware of where your thoughts are and gently bringing them back to the present when they start to wander. This could be as simple as taking a few deep breaths and focusing on the sensation of the air filling your lungs. It could mean putting your phone away during a meal or taking a walk without music or podcasts in your ears. The goal isn't to eliminate all future thinking, but to strike a balance where you're aware of the present and appreciate it without being consumed by what's next. Living in the now isn't about forgetting your goals or ignoring the future. It's about recognizing that life is made up of the small moments that happen each day. By embracing those moments and being fully present, you create a deeper sense of fulfillment and clarity. You stop waiting for happiness and start experiencing it right where you are. As Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." And when your thoughts are anchored in the present, you allow yourself to live a life of purpose, joy, and contentment. So I ask you, are you living in the now, or are you always waiting for the next thing? What steps can you take today to bring yourself back to the present moment, to appreciate the here and now, and to live with more focus and intention? Remember, life is happening right now. Don't miss it. If you've made it this far, you're already on the path to clear thinking. Drop a comment saying, "I see clearly now," to show you're committed to mastering the art of thinking. Stick around, there's more wisdom ahead. Lesson 8. The Sensory Illusion. In a world that is constantly feeding us information through our senses, we often take for granted that what we see, hear, and feel is an accurate representation of reality. But is it really? The Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, would argue that our senses can deceive us. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts," meaning that our perception of the world is colored by our own thoughts, beliefs, and experiences. The sensory illusion is the idea that what we perceive through our senses is not always the full or accurate picture. It's a reminder that the way we experience the world is often shaped by external factors and internal biases. So, how can we learn to think more clearly when our very senses can mislead us? Let's begin by acknowledging that our senses are incredibly powerful. They allow us to interact with the world, form opinions, and make decisions. But they are not infallible. Have you ever heard someone say, "I'll believe it when I see it"? This common phrase suggests that seeing is the ultimate proof of truth. But how many times have our eyes deceived us? Whether it's optical illusions, misunderstandings, or simply seeing what we want to see, our senses are far from perfect. Epictetus teaches us, "We are not disturbed by things, but by the view we take of them." This means that it's not what happens to us that causes our emotions or reactions, but rather how we interpret those events through the filter of our senses. This insight is crucial because it gives us the power to question and challenge our initial perceptions instead of accepting them blindly. Think about a modern-day scenario where this plays out: social media. When you scroll through your feed and see images of people living seemingly perfect lives, traveling to exotic places looking happy and successful, it's easy to feel inadequate or envious. But are those pictures an accurate reflection of reality? The answer is no. Social media, like our senses, presents a filtered version of the world. You see the highlights, the curated moments, and not the struggles, failures, or insecurities that everyone experiences behind the scenes. The sensory illusion of social media can lead to distorted thinking, making you believe that your life doesn't measure up, when in fact what you're comparing yourself to isn't real or complete. How many times have you misjudged a situation based on what you perceived initially? Maybe you overheard part of a conversation at work and thought someone was criticizing you, only to later find out they were discussing something entirely different. Your senses picked up on a fragment of information, and your mind filled in the blanks with assumptions. The Stoics remind us that this is where we must pause. Instead of reacting immediately, we need to question the accuracy of our perception. Marcus Aurelius advised, "If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake in any thought or action, I will gladly change. I seek the truth, which never harmed anyone." This openness to questioning your perception is the first step toward clearer thinking. It's about being willing to admit that what you saw, heard, or felt might not be the complete truth. This lesson applies to more than just personal interactions. It can also help in our broader understanding of the world. For example, the news media often presents stories with a particular slant or bias. If you only consume one source of news, You're likely seeing the world through that outlet's lens. The Stoics would encourage you to diversify your sources, challenge your views, and seek the truth beyond the surface. Epictetus reminds us that it is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. If you assume that your initial perception is always correct, you close yourself off from growth and understanding. By questioning the sensory illusion, you open yourself to seeing the world more clearly and accurately. In today's fast-paced, visually driven world, it's easy to fall victim to the sensory illusion. Think about how advertisements are designed to play on your senses. Bright colors, catchy music, and bold promises that appeal to your emotions rather than your rational mind. You see a commercial for a shiny new product and immediately feel the urge to buy it, even though you may not need it. This is where Stoic principles can help you pause and reflect. Marcus Aurelius often spoke about the importance of self-control and not being swayed by every impulse. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. In this context, the outside events include sensory stimuli designed to manipulate your thoughts and desires. By taking control of your mind and questioning what your senses tell you, you empower yourself to make better decisions. Let's bring this back to something more personal. Have you ever been in a situation where you thought someone was angry with you, but later found out that wasn't the case at all? Maybe their tone of voice or body language gave you the impression they were upset, but in reality, they were preoccupied with something entirely unrelated to you. This is another example of the sensory illusion at work. We often project our own fears or insecurities onto others, misinterpreting their actions or words based on incomplete sensory information. The next time you find yourself in a similar situation, take a step back and ask yourself, is this really what's happening, or is it just my perception of the situation? This simple question can help you break free from the trap of sensory illusions and approach the situation with a clearer, more rational mind. So, how can we apply these Stoic lessons to improve our daily lives? Start by cultivating a habit of mindfulness, paying attention to your thoughts and questioning whether they are based on clear reasoning or distorted by your senses. The next time you feel a strong emotional reaction to something, pause before you act. Ask yourself, what am I truly seeing here? Is there more to the story? By doing this, you give yourself the opportunity to process the situation rationally, rather than reacting impulsively. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts, and by improving the quality of your thoughts, you improve the quality of your life." The sensory illusion is something we all experience, but by learning to recognize and question it, we can develop a clearer, more accurate understanding of the world around us. The Stoics teach us that while we cannot always trust our senses, we can always control how we interpret and respond to the information they give us. So the next time you're confronted with a situation that stirs up strong emotions, remember to pause, reflect, and ask yourself if what you're perceiving is truly the reality or just an illusion. What can you do today to start questioning your perceptions and improve your ability to think clearly? The answer lies in taking control of your mind, just as the Stoics did. Lesson 9. Master Focus. Focus in our modern world feels like a rare commodity. With constant notifications, endless distractions, and an overload of information coming at us every minute of the day, mastering focus has become a critical skill. But how do we reclaim our ability to focus amidst all the noise? This is where the teachings of Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus come in, to help us see the value of staying focused on what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is a powerful reminder that no matter how chaotic the world around us may seem, the ability to concentrate on the task at hand lies within us. It's not about eliminating distractions completely. It's about learning to manage them and consciously choosing where to direct your attention. But focusing on a single task can feel overwhelming when your mind is constantly pulled in different directions. Epictetus reminds us that First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. This philosophy suggests that before diving into any task, you need to be clear about your intentions. What is it that you truly want to achieve? Whether it's a career goal, improving your relationships, or personal growth, you need to have a sense of clarity. Without clarity, focus becomes impossible. When you know your purpose, focusing becomes less about forcing yourself to concentrate and more about naturally aligning your actions with your goals. So, have you taken the time to define what you want to focus on today, this week, or this year? Clarity leads to focus, and focus leads to progress. Let's take a look at how this plays out in modern life. Think about how many times you've sat down to work on an important project, only to get distracted by emails, social media, or sudden thoughts that seem urgent. You may have started the day with good intentions, but by the time the day ends, you realize you've barely made progress. Marcus Aurelius understood this struggle even in his time, which is why he encouraged us to do every act of your life as though it were the last act of your life. This isn't about rushing through tasks. It's about being fully present in whatever you're doing. It's the understanding that if something is important enough to do, it's important enough to give it your full attention. When you approach each task with this mindset, distractions become less appealing because you realize that what you're doing right now deserves your full focus. In today's world, multitasking is often seen as a badge of honor. Many people believe that doing multiple things at once makes them more productive. But research and experience tell us otherwise. In fact, multitasking usually leads to doing several things poorly rather than one thing well. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." This speaks to the idea that mastering focus requires us to go against the grain. While everyone else is trying to juggle multiple tasks, mastering focus means simplifying, concentrating on one task at a time, and accepting that this might look inefficient to others. But ask yourself, would you rather complete one task with excellence or do 5 things with mediocrity? Here's a relatable story. John, a successful entrepreneur, constantly found himself pulled in a million directions. He believed that as a business owner, he needed to respond to every email immediately, attend every meeting, and always be available to his team. But despite working long hours, he felt unaccomplished at the end of most days. He was busy, but he wasn't productive. After reading Meditations, John decided to apply Stoic principles to his work. He started each day with a moment of reflection, asking himself, what is truly important today? He then focused on one task at a time, limiting distractions by turning off notifications and setting boundaries with his time. Over time, John noticed a dramatic improvement, not only in his productivity but in his sense of calm. By mastering focus, he gained control over his work and life, and the feeling of constant overwhelm disappeared. So how do you begin mastering focus in your own life? First, prioritize. Not everything that demands your attention deserves it. Identify the tasks that align with your long-term goals, and give those tasks the attention they deserve. As Marcus Aurelius advises, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. This extends to your time and energy. If something isn't worth your time, don't give it space in your mind. Next, practice mindfulness. Focus isn't just about concentrating on tasks, it's about being present. Whether you're working on a project, having a conversation, or enjoying time with family, practice being fully engaged in the moment. When you catch your mind wandering, gently bring it back to the present. Over time, this will strengthen your ability to stay focused. Another practical tool is time blocking. Set specific periods during your day to focus on particular tasks and protect those times from distractions. Turn off notifications, close unnecessary tabs on your browser, and let others know you're unavailable during those times. This technique allows you to fully immerse yourself in the task at hand, knowing that other concerns will be addressed later. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." Time blocking is a way of confining yourself to the task in front of you without letting external distractions pull you away. It's about creating an environment where focus can thrive. But here's an important question. What do you do when distractions come from within? Sometimes the biggest challenges to our focus aren't external distractions but internal thoughts, worries about the future, regrets about the past, or random ideas that pop into our heads. Epictetus teaches us, you become what you give your attention to. When internal distractions arise, acknowledge them, but don't let them control your focus. You can't stop thoughts from entering your mind, but you can choose how much attention you give them. If a worry or a random idea pops up while you're working, write it down and return to it later. Don't let it derail your focus on the task at hand. Mastering focus isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Each day offers a new opportunity to strengthen your ability to concentrate on what matters. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to stay present and resist distractions. So, what are you focusing on today? Are you spreading your attention too thin? Or are you dedicating yourself fully to what's most important? By applying Stoic principles, you can reclaim your focus and direct your energy toward what truly matters. As you move forward, remember the words of Marcus Aurelius. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts, and the quality of your thoughts depends on your ability to focus on what's important. What will you give your attention to today? The choice is yours. Lesson 10. The Stoic Art of Less is More. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's greatest voices, said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." This concept of less is more is not just a catchy phrase. It's a powerful mindset that can transform how we live. In a time where we are surrounded by excess, whether it's material goods, distractions, or commitments, the idea of doing less but doing it with purpose feels refreshing. For men aged 30 to 65, many of whom are balancing careers, family life, and personal aspirations, learning the art of simplicity is essential to not only manage stress, but also find greater clarity and peace. The essence of the Stoic philosophy teaches us that true happiness and fulfillment don't come from external wealth or possessions, but from how we think and act. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This is at the heart of the less is more principle. It encourages us to stop chasing things that only add noise and distraction to our lives, and instead focus on what truly matters. How often do you find yourself overwhelmed by commitments, emails, or an endless to-do list? We live in a society that glorifies busyness, but the Stoics remind us that the quality of our actions is far more important than the quantity. Are you filling your day with things that truly align with your values? Or are you simply filling your day to feel productive? Let's take a closer look at what less is more means in practical terms. It's about decluttering not just your physical space, but also your mental and emotional space. Many people spend their lives accumulating things they don't need, and in doing so, they clutter their minds with unnecessary worries and distractions. Marcus Aurelius offered timeless advice when he wrote, "The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have." In other words, by constantly seeking more material wealth, recognition, or approval, we give away our power. Our happiness becomes dependent on external factors which we can never fully control. Instead, the Stoics teach us to focus on what we can control, our thoughts, actions, and responses. By simplifying our desires, we can regain control over our lives and find peace in the present moment. Consider how this applies to modern life. We're constantly bombarded with advertisements telling us that the next gadget, car, or piece of clothing will make us happier. We're urged to upgrade, consume more, and accumulate possessions as if they define our worth. But have you ever noticed that the excitement of a new purchase fades quickly? This is because true happiness doesn't come from the things we own. It comes from within, from living in alignment with our values. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." This challenges the conventional mindset that status and material success are the ultimate goals. Sometimes doing less, owning less, striving less, and worrying less can make you feel more free and fulfilled. Let me share a modern example. A friend of mine, who for years was focused on climbing the corporate ladder, bought a new luxury car, upgraded his house, and spent his weekends at high-end restaurants. He believed that achieving these external markers of success would bring him happiness. But after reaching these goals, he felt empty and unfulfilled. The constant pressure to maintain that lifestyle only added more stress. Eventually, he realized that his pursuit of more was leading to less happiness. He decided to downsize his lifestyle. He sold his expensive car, moved to a smaller home, and began focusing on spending more time with family and pursuing his passions. The result? He felt a deeper sense of contentment and peace. By doing less and focusing on what truly mattered, he gained more in terms of joy, connection, and purpose. The lesson here is clear. Less can indeed lead to more. But how do we apply this in our daily lives? Start by identifying the things that add value and meaning to your life, and let go of the rest. You don't need to fill your schedule with endless meetings or your home with possessions to feel successful. Marcus Aurelius urged us to ask yourself at every moment, is this necessary? This simple question can help you declutter both your mind and your life. When you evaluate your daily activities or the things you own, ask yourself whether they are truly contributing to your well-being or simply creating noise. And there you have it, folks. We've explored some of the most powerful lessons from Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus on the art of thinking clearly. Now the real challenge is to take these principles and apply them to your everyday life. Whether it's embracing the present moment, mastering your focus, or recognizing the limits of your control, each of these Stoic lessons has the potential to bring more clarity, peace, and happiness into your life. How will you start practicing these principles today? Let me know in the comments how you plan to implement these ideas, or share your thoughts on which lesson resonated most with you. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Stoic in your life for more content on how to live with wisdom and purpose. Let's continue this journey together. Your growth starts now. Be at peace. Even with a chaotic mind, practical philosophy for a better life with Stoicism. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In today's fast-paced, chaotic world, where our minds are constantly pulled in different directions, this wisdom speaks directly to the heart of what it means to live with peace in the midst of turmoil. Welcome to Stoic in Your Life, where we explore how ancient Stoic philosophy offers practical tools for living a better, calmer life. In today's episode, we'll break down how Stoicism can help you cultivate peace of mind, no matter how turbulent your thoughts or circumstances may be. We'll dive into key Stoic principles that teach us how to regain control over our reactions, quiet the noise in our heads, and live a life guided by reason and clarity. As you watch, think about how these timeless lessons apply to your daily battles with stress and distraction. And don't forget to share your thoughts. How do you manage a chaotic mind? Drop a comment below, and let's start a conversation about bringing more peace into our lives. Lesson 1. Calmness, the Stoic superpower. Calmness is the cradle of power. This profound quote from Josiah Gilbert Holland perfectly captures the essence of Stoic philosophy, particularly the idea that calmness is a form of strength. The Stoics believed that while the world around us may be chaotic, unpredictable, and often out of our control, our internal state is something we can master. In today's fast-paced world, where stress and anger are almost normalized, the Stoic approach to calmness is not only relevant but essential for maintaining balance in life. Calmness is the real superpower, not anger, and those who can remain composed under pressure are the ones who exhibit true strength. Anger, on the other hand, is seen as a form of weakness by the Stoics. Seneca, the Roman Stoic philosopher, said, "Anger is like a weapon for cowards. It's an easy reaction, a surrender to baser instincts. When we allow anger to control us, we give away our power. It clouds our judgment, distorts reality, and can irreparably damage relationships. Whether it's lashing out at a loved one during a heated argument or making a rash decision that later fills us with regret, anger leads us away from wisdom and towards impulsive actions. Think about it. How many times have you acted out of anger and felt regret shortly after? The Stoics teach that it is in these moments we must learn to take control by practicing calmness. It is through calmness that we can think clearly, navigate conflicts effectively, and maintain healthy relationships, both at home and in the workplace. In modern life, we are faced with constant stressors: work, family, finances. There's always something demanding our attention. Imagine being stuck in traffic, already running late for an important meeting, and someone cuts you off. For many, the immediate reaction is to get angry, to honk, to curse, and to feel that surge of frustration. But the Stoics would argue that this anger is not only unproductive but damaging. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. The situation itself is out of your control, but your reaction to it is fully within your power. By choosing calmness over anger, you prevent a bad situation from becoming worse. You preserve your energy, maintain clarity, and allow yourself to think and act with reason rather than letting emotions dictate your actions. Leadership provides another perfect example of how calmness is a form of strength. Think of a leader you admire. Perhaps it's a boss, a coach, or even a world leader. What qualities make them stand out? Chances are, it's their ability to remain composed during crises, to think clearly when everyone else is panicking, and to respond with measured, thoughtful actions rather than reacting impulsively. The Stoics believed that the ability to remain calm in the face of adversity is the hallmark of a true leader. Seneca again emphasized this by saying, "He who is brave is free." In other words, the calm leader is free from the chains of emotional impulsiveness and fear, making them more effective in guiding others through difficult times. This is the power of calmness in action, and it's something that can be cultivated with practice. But calmness isn't only important for leaders, it plays a vital role in our personal lives as well. Take parenting, for example. Children, with their endless energy and curiosity, can often test our patience. It's easy to react out of frustration when a toddler throws a tantrum in the grocery store or a teenager talks back in defiance. But if we respond with anger, we risk teaching our children that emotional outbursts are acceptable forms of communication. Instead, by remaining calm, we model patience and self-control, qualities that will help them navigate their own emotions as they grow. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." By showing calmness in stressful situations, we provide a solid example for those around us, particularly the next generation. In driving, calmness is again a superpower. Think of how road rage can escalate a simple driving mistake into a dangerous situation. Stoicism teaches us that we cannot control how other drivers behave, but we can control how we react. When we remain calm, we keep ourselves and others safe, and we also preserve our own mental well-being. This sense of calm is not about suppressing emotions or pretending they don't exist. It's about acknowledging the frustration, understanding that it's a normal reaction, and then consciously choosing not to let it control your actions. The Stoics believed that by doing this, we become stronger and more resilient, able to face life's inevitable challenges with grace and wisdom. In today's world, filled with instant gratification and constant stimuli, it's easy to see why anger and frustration seem to be such common responses. But the Stoics remind us that these emotions are choices, not inevitabilities. The power of calmness lies in our ability to recognize this and to actively choose a different path. By practicing calmness in small, everyday situations, whether it's dealing with a difficult coworker, handling a miscommunication in a relationship, or staying patient in a long line at the grocery store, we build our capacity for calmness in larger, more significant moments of stress. The benefits of calmness extend far beyond emotional well-being. Studies have shown that remaining calm under pressure can reduce stress levels, improve decision-making, and even boost physical health. When we remain calm, we lower our cortisol levels, the hormone responsible for stress, and this has a positive impact on everything from blood pressure to mental clarity. The Stoics may not have had access to modern scientific research, but their intuitive understanding of the connection between mind and body was ahead of its time. Seneca's advice to avoid anger is just as valuable today as it was thousands of years ago. Rage, while it makes us less human, ultimately makes us more miserable, he wrote, encouraging us to seek peace rather than conflict. Calmness is indeed the Stoic superpower, one that allows us to navigate life's many challenges with grace, wisdom, and control. Anger, on the other hand, is a fleeting emotion that can cause lasting damage if we let it take over. The choice is ours to make every day, to react with anger or respond with calmness. By applying these Stoic principles in our daily lives, we not only improve our relationships and decision-making, but we also become stronger, more resilient individuals. The world will always be chaotic. It's how we handle the chaos that determines the quality of our lives. As we go through life, let's remember the words of Marcus Aurelius. The best revenge is to be unlike the one who caused the injury. Let calmness be your revenge against the chaos of the world, and in doing so, you'll find not only peace, but true strength. Lesson 2. Mastering Emotions, the Stoic Way. Mastering others is strength, but mastering yourself is true power, Lao Tzu once said. This timeless quote aligns perfectly with the essence of Stoicism, especially when it comes to mastering our emotions. In today's lesson, we dive into how Stoicism teaches us to manage emotions, not by suppressing them, but by understanding and guiding them. You see, emotions aren't the enemy. They're natural and necessary, but left unchecked, they can lead us astray, much like a wild horse without a skilled rider. The Stoics believe that just as a rider tames a horse, we must learn to tame our emotions, so they don't control us. Think about it. How many times have you let anger, fear, or sadness dictate your actions, only to regret it later? Maybe you lashed out at someone, said something you didn't mean, or made a poor decision in the heat of the moment. Marcus Aurelius, a prominent Stoic, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Stoicism reminds us that while we can't control external events, we can control our reactions to them. This doesn't mean ignoring or bottling up emotions. It means becoming aware of them, observing their rise and fall without being swept away, and then choosing a rational response. Awareness is the first step. The more aware you are of your emotional triggers, the better equipped you are to handle them. Let's relate this to modern life. Picture yourself in a work setting where a colleague gets under your skin. Perhaps they're always taking credit for your ideas or undermining your efforts. Your initial emotional reaction might be frustration or anger. A common response would be to confront them impulsively or harbor resentment. But the Stoics teach us to pause and observe. Seneca, another great Stoic philosopher, said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." In this situation, instead of reacting immediately, take a moment to step back. Acknowledge the emotion, but don't let it take control. Consider why you're feeling this way, and rather than lashing out, you might choose to address the issue calmly and assertively at a later time. This mindful response will not only preserve your peace, but also demonstrate your emotional intelligence and leadership. It's about rising above the impulse and handling the situation with clarity and reason. Cognitive reframing is another powerful tool that Stoics use to manage emotions. It involves shifting your perspective on a situation to lessen its emotional impact. Let's say you're feeling anxious about an upcoming presentation or a major life decision. That anxiety can cloud your judgment and make the task seem overwhelming. But what if you reframe your thoughts? Instead of focusing on the potential for failure, you could see the presentation as an opportunity to grow, to showcase your skills, or even to learn from the experience, regardless of the outcome. Epictetus wisely noted, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." By reframing your thoughts, you shift from a place of fear to one of empowerment. This simple change in perspective can drastically alter your emotional state, turning anxiety into excitement or fear into motivation. In our daily lives, we encounter numerous situations where we can apply Stoic principles to master our emotions. Think about parenting, for example. Your child throws a tantrum in the middle of a store, and your instinct may be to get angry or embarrassed. Instead, a Stoic parent would first acknowledge the frustration, but then take a breath, observe the situation, and choose to respond with patience and calm. Rather than being driven by the emotional chaos, you become the calm center, modeling self-control for your child. This not only strengthens your relationship, but also teaches your child valuable lessons in emotional regulation. Now let's talk about the power of mindful responses. Often when emotions flare up, we react impulsively, driven by anger, frustration, or even joy. The Stoics, however, believed that true strength lies in choosing how we respond. By becoming mindful of our emotions, we create a space between the emotion and the action, allowing reason to guide us. Picture this. You receive a harsh critique from a supervisor or peer. Instinctively, you might feel defensive, upset, or angry. But instead of reacting immediately, take a Stoic approach. Pause, breathe, and consider the feedback objectively. Is there something constructive in it? Could this be an opportunity for growth? By approaching the situation mindfully, you can turn a negative experience into a learning opportunity, while maintaining your composure and professionalism. A great story that exemplifies this comes from the life of Nelson Mandela, who embodied Stoic virtues in his leadership. During his 27 years of imprisonment, he had every reason to be consumed by anger and bitterness. But instead of letting those emotions dictate his actions, Mandela chose to master them. He reframed his imprisonment as a period of growth and self-reflection, ultimately emerging as a leader who preached forgiveness and reconciliation. This is the Stoic way, mastering emotions, not through suppression, but through conscious choice and mindful action. So, how can we apply this in our own lives? The next time you find yourself overwhelmed by an emotion, whether it's anger, frustration, anxiety, or sadness, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, is this emotion helping or harming me? What's truly at the root of this feeling? And most importantly, how can I respond in a way that aligns with my values and long-term goals? By taking this mindful approach, you not only gain control over your emotional landscape, but also improve your relationships, decision-making, and overall well-being. Mastering emotions is not about suppressing them. It's about recognizing them, observing them without judgment, and choosing a mindful response that aligns with your values. Stoicism offers practical tools like awareness, cognitive reframing, and mindful action that allow us to navigate life's emotional challenges with grace and wisdom. Remember, as Marcus Aurelius said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. By mastering our emotions, we improve the quality of our thoughts, actions, and ultimately our lives. So the next time you feel a powerful emotion rising, take a Stoic pause and ask yourself, how can I turn this moment into an opportunity for growth? Lesson 3. Overcoming anxiety. Focus on what you control. Anxiety is one of those emotions that can completely take over your mind, leaving you feeling overwhelmed and powerless. It's something we all experience, but what if there were a way to reduce its grip on us? The Stoics offer a powerful solution to this dilemma, one that's grounded in practical philosophy and can be applied to daily life. Their core teaching on anxiety is simple. Focus only on what you can control. Epictetus, a well-known Stoic philosopher, once said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." This idea is crucial in overcoming anxiety because most of the time, our anxiety is driven by things that are outside of our control. Whether it's fear of what might happen in the future, worries about what other people think, or stress about situations that are simply beyond our influence, these things drain our energy and take us away from what we can actually do something about. So the first step in addressing anxiety, as the Stoics teach us, is to carefully assess what's within your power to change and what isn't. Now think about this for a moment. How often do you get caught up in worrying about things that never happen? Anxiety has a sneaky way of making us fixate on worst-case scenarios, filling our minds with what-ifs. You might worry about how a project at work will turn out or stress about a conversation with a loved one, imagining all the ways it could go wrong. But ask yourself, how many of those fears actually become reality? The Stoics remind us that the future is uncertain, and trying to control it is a futile endeavor. Instead, what we should do is prepare ourselves to face any outcome with calm and confidence. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, once wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is where our focus should be, on strengthening our mind, not worrying about the uncontrollable events around us. By doing this, we free ourselves from the chains of anxiety and open up space for peace and clarity. Let's relate this to a common situation in modern life. You've got a big presentation at work, and the anxiety is eating at you. You can't stop thinking about what might go wrong. What if the technology fails? What if you forget your lines? What if the audience doesn't respond well? It's natural to worry, but the Stoics would tell you to shift your focus. Instead of obsessing over all the things that could go wrong, and that are ultimately beyond your control, focus on what you can control: your preparation, your mindset, and your response to challenges as they arise. The more you prepare, the more confident you'll feel. The more you practice grounding yourself in the present moment, the less you'll be swayed by anxiety. As Seneca wisely stated, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." So much of our anxiety comes from living in the future, from imagining all the possible failures that may never come to pass. But what if you chose to stay in the present and control your response to each moment as it comes? When you think about it, the Stoics weren't just teaching philosophy. They were giving us a toolkit for life, a way to approach daily challenges with more wisdom and calm. They taught us that there's a clear boundary between what we can control and what we can't, and that peace comes from staying on the right side of that line. Anxiety thrives when we blur this boundary, when we try to take responsibility for things that aren't ours to manage. But imagine how much lighter you'd feel if you simply let go of the things that don't belong to you. This doesn't mean being passive or indifferent. It means actively focusing your energy on where it can make the most difference, on your actions, your thoughts, your attitudes. It's about accepting the reality that some things are beyond our grasp, and that no amount of worry will change that. Let's take this idea even further. Consider your relationships, for example. How often do we get anxious about how others perceive us, or how they might respond to something we say or do? The truth is, you can't control how others will react. You can only control how you behave. And once you realize this, it's incredibly freeing. Instead of being consumed with anxiety over whether someone likes you or approves of you, focus on being the best version of yourself. When you live authentically and with integrity, you let go of the anxiety about others' opinions. Epictetus famously said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." This serves as a reminder to approach each situation with humility, knowing that we don't control others, but we can control how we show up in the world. As you reflect on these teachings, ask yourself, what am I anxious about right now? Is it something I can control? Or am I worrying about things that are beyond my influence? By simply asking these questions, you start to shift your mindset. You begin to take power away from anxiety and place it back into your own hands. This isn't about eliminating all worries. After all, Anxiety is a normal part of life, but it's about learning to manage it in a healthier, more productive way. The next time anxiety creeps in, remind yourself of the Stoic principle. Control what you can, let go of what you can't. The Stoics offer a timeless approach to dealing with anxiety. Focus on what you can control. This advice is as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago because anxiety, at its core, hasn't changed. We still get caught up in the future, we still worry about the unknown, and we still try to control things that are out of our hands. But by embracing the Stoic way of thinking, you can start to quiet the noise of anxiety and bring more peace into your daily life. The power to overcome anxiety lies not in controlling external events, but in mastering your own mind. So what will you choose to focus on today? What's within your control, and how can you shift your energy towards that? Thank you for joining us in today's video. Before we move forward, I want to take a moment to express my gratitude to you. It's a true pleasure to have you as part of our community. Please feel free to share your personal thoughts or experiences. And if you're not sure what to comment, simply type, "I am a newbie," if you're just joining us, or "I am a Stoic," if you've been with us for a while. Your engagement is not just appreciated, it genuinely inspires and motivates us to keep going. Now, let's continue this journey together, shall we? Lesson 4. Emotional Resilience. The Stoic Mindset. Emotional resilience, especially in today's fast-paced world, is one of the most valuable traits we can develop. Life throws countless challenges at us: personal setbacks, work-related stress, family issues. Yet how we respond to these hardships determines the quality of our mental health, and ultimately, our success. The Stoic mindset is uniquely designed to build emotional resilience, helping us remain unshaken by external events and focused on what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most revered Stoic philosophers, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This simple yet profound truth lies at the core of Stoicism. It teaches that we can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we interpret and respond to these events. The key to emotional resilience is understanding that while life's circumstances may be chaotic, the inner peace we seek is something we have control over. At its heart, the Stoic mindset is about mastering our internal reactions. In our modern world, we are constantly bombarded by pressures, deadlines, and the expectations of others. The Stoic approach reminds us that instead of getting swept away by these external forces, we must develop the ability to stay grounded and calm. One of the first lessons in emotional resilience is recognizing that emotions are not inherently bad. It's natural to feel anger, sadness, or frustration. However, the Stoics believed that these emotions should never dictate our actions. Epictetus, another great Stoic philosopher, taught that it's not what happens to you but how you react to it that matters. This means that while we may feel emotions deeply, we can always choose how to respond to them in a rational, controlled way. Let's take a closer look at how we can apply this in modern life. For many men, particularly those aged 30 to 65, career pressure and family obligations are significant sources of stress. Suppose you're in a high-stakes business meeting and someone questions your ideas. The immediate emotional reaction might be to feel defensive or even insulted. But the Stoic approach urges you to pause and assess the situation calmly. Instead of letting your emotions lead you to a rash response, take a moment to breathe and recognize that the criticism is simply an external event. It doesn't define you. By controlling your emotional reaction, you maintain your composure and can respond with clarity, ensuring that you're making decisions from a place of strength, not insecurity. This is emotional resilience in action. Emotional resilience also involves understanding the difference between what you can and cannot control. The Stoics were adamant that we must focus on the things within our power, such as our actions, thoughts, and values, while letting go of the things we have no control over. This philosophy is timeless. Let's say you're facing financial difficulties. While it's easy to get caught up in anxiety and fear over the state of the economy or the decisions of others, these are things outside of your control. Instead, the Stoic mindset encourages you to focus on what you can do. Perhaps it's finding new ways to manage your finances, exploring additional sources of income, or reevaluating your budget. Seneca famously said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." By constantly worrying about what might happen, we undermine our emotional resilience and create unnecessary stress. Instead, by focusing on what we can control, we stay proactive rather than reactive and maintain our inner peace. The Stoics also emphasized the importance of accepting life's inevitable hardships. They understood that challenges are part of the human experience and that trying to avoid or resist them only increases suffering. In our lives, setbacks are unavoidable. Whether it's a failed project at work, a strained relationship, or a personal loss, these moments test our emotional resilience. Rather than seeing these difficulties as insurmountable obstacles, the Stoic mindset views them as opportunities for growth. The obstacle is the way, as Marcus Aurelius put it. This means that every challenge, every moment of adversity, is a chance to practice resilience and grow stronger. Think about how this applies to a personal failure you may have experienced. Did it break you down, or did it eventually lead to personal growth and new opportunities? The Stoics would argue that it's not the failure itself that defines you, but how you rise in response to it. To further develop emotional resilience, the Stoics encourage us to practice mindfulness and self-reflection. Taking time to reflect on our thoughts, actions, and emotional responses helps us identify patterns and areas for improvement. In today's busy world, many of us don't take the time to slow down and assess our inner states. We rush from one task to the next, often without addressing the emotional toll that life's challenges are taking on us. But if we incorporate Stoic practices like journaling, meditation, or simply taking a few moments each day to reflect, we build the mental muscle needed to stay emotionally resilient. Marcus Aurelius himself kept a personal journal where he reflected on his thoughts and the events of the day, always aiming to improve his character and emotional responses. So, how can you begin to strengthen your emotional resilience right now? Start by asking yourself, what challenges am I facing that are outside of my control? How am I reacting to them? And are those reactions helping or hurting me? Then, shift your focus. Instead of dwelling on what's wrong or what's beyond your power, focus on the actions you can take to move forward. Remember that setbacks are part of life, but they don't define you. As Epictetus wisely said, "He who laughs at himself never runs out of things to laugh at." Humor and lightness, even in difficult times, are tools of emotional resilience, allowing us to not take everything so seriously and to see that we are capable of overcoming whatever comes our way. Emotional resilience is not about avoiding life's challenges, but about meeting them with a calm, steady mind. The Stoic mindset gives us the tools to remain in control of our reactions, to focus on what we can change, and to accept what we cannot. By practicing these principles, we can face adversity with strength, learn from it, and continue to grow. As you go through your day, keep this in mind. Life will always present chaos and difficulty, but the power to maintain your peace is entirely within you. How will you choose to respond? Lesson 5. Impulse Control. Living Justly. Impulse control is one of the most powerful yet often overlooked elements of Stoicism, and it plays a crucial role in living a life of justice and purpose. The Stoics believed that if we let our impulses dictate our actions, we surrender our power to the whims of fleeting emotions, urges, or external circumstances. This leads not only to personal regret, but can also cause harm to others, damaging relationships and tarnishing our integrity. As Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In other words, when others act out of impulse, our true strength lies in resisting the urge to react in the same way. We are constantly presented with choices, and those choices define the quality of our lives and how we are perceived by others. But how often do we pause long enough to truly consider the impact of our impulses before we act? The key to impulse control is not about suppressing our desires, but about understanding them and making conscious decisions that align with our values. It's about creating a gap between feeling and action, one that allows reason and virtue to guide us instead of impulse. Consider the role impulse control plays in modern life. Think about your daily experiences, whether it's at work, in relationships, or even while interacting on social media. Maybe you're in a meeting and someone criticizes your idea, and your first impulse is to snap back in defense. Or perhaps you're scrolling through social media, and you see a comment that triggers frustration or anger, tempting you to fire off a heated reply. In those moments, it's easy to act impulsively, letting your emotions take control. But that's where Stoic wisdom steps in. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Acting on impulse often leads to wasted time, opportunities, and relationships, leaving us to deal with the consequences of decisions made in the heat of the moment. Instead, the Stoics teach us to pause, reflect, and ask ourselves, is this action aligned with my long-term values? Is it going to lead to the outcome I truly want? Or am I simply reacting to a temporary feeling? Impulse control is not just about stopping ourselves from doing something harmful. It's also about encouraging ourselves to act when it's right. Take the example of generosity. Sometimes our initial impulse might be to hold back, to be cautious with our resources or time. But if we examine that impulse, we may find that acting generously, helping a friend in need or offering kindness to a stranger, aligns more closely with our deeper values of justice and compassion. The Stoics were not interested in self-denial for the sake of it. Instead, they believed in aligning our actions with virtues like justice, courage, wisdom, and temperance. By controlling our impulses, we not only avoid doing harm, but also open up opportunities to do good, to live a life that is more fulfilling and purpose-driven. The Stoic idea of impulse control can also be applied to larger aspects of life, such as financial decisions. Many people struggle with the impulse to spend money on things they don't need, often as a way to chase momentary happiness. The thrill of buying something new fades quickly, leaving behind feelings of regret or financial strain. However, by pausing and considering whether the purchase aligns with long-term financial goals, we can make smarter decisions that lead to true satisfaction. Epictetus reminds us, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Controlling the impulse to chase material possessions allows us to focus on what truly brings joy and fulfillment, meaningful experiences, relationships, and personal growth. Another area where impulse control is critical is in maintaining healthy relationships. Whether with family, friends, or romantic partners, emotional outbursts often cause unnecessary conflict and misunderstandings. A fleeting moment of anger can lead to words that can't be taken back, hurting the ones we care about. But when we learn to control those impulses, we create space for understanding, empathy, and communication. Imagine being in an argument with a loved one. Instead of reacting impulsively and saying something hurtful, you pause, take a breath, and approach the conversation with calmness and patience. This simple act of impulse control can save relationships and foster deeper connections. So, how do we develop this level of impulse control in our everyday lives? It starts with awareness. You need to be aware of your emotions and triggers to notice when an impulse arises. Once you're aware, the next step is to create that gap between impulse and action. This is where you pause and reflect. Ask yourself, what is driving this impulse? Is it aligned with my values, or is it a reaction to something external that I can't control? By practicing this regularly, impulse control becomes a habit, one that leads to better decision-making and a more virtuous life. Living justly means consistently choosing the right actions, not the easiest or most gratifying ones. The Stoics understood that impulse control is a cornerstone of justice, both in how we treat others and how we live with ourselves. By mastering our impulses, we create a life of integrity, one that is grounded in reason and virtue, rather than being blown about by fleeting desires or emotions. So, the next time you feel an impulse rising, whether it's to react in anger, indulge in excess, or avoid a difficult decision, take a step back and ask yourself, is this the path to justice and long-term fulfillment, or am I simply reacting without thought? The answer to that question may well change the course of your actions and ultimately your life. How will you respond the next time an impulse arises? Lesson 6. Avoid drama. The Stoic approach. Drama is everywhere. From office politics to family disagreements, social media conflicts to personal relationships, drama seems to find its way into our lives in various forms. But as the Stoics would remind us, much of this drama is unnecessary and only serves to distract us from living a peaceful, fulfilling life. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." In other words, we often make things more dramatic than they need to be because of how we interpret them. The Stoic approach teaches us that by controlling how we react to external events, we can avoid drama altogether. But how do we apply this philosophy in our everyday lives, especially when modern life seems to be filled with endless opportunities for conflict and stress? First, it's important to recognize that not all drama comes from others. Sometimes we create it ourselves. Whether through overreaction, miscommunication, or holding on to grudges, we can amplify situations beyond their actual importance. The Stoics believed that one of the keys to avoiding drama is to focus only on what is within your control. Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This simple truth carries immense power. When we focus on controlling our own actions and responses, rather than trying to control others or external circumstances, we free ourselves from the emotional turbulence that drama brings. Let's say someone at work makes a snide remark or undermines you in front of others. The impulse might be to snap back or let it ruin your mood for the rest of the day. But by choosing to control your reaction, you can let it pass without becoming emotionally entangled in the situation. The person's comment is beyond your control, but how much weight you give it and how you respond is entirely within your power. Drama thrives on emotional reactivity. In today's world, where social media can escalate even the smallest disagreements into full-blown conflicts, mastering emotional control is more important than ever. How often do we see arguments break out over a difference in opinion online? It can start as a simple comment and quickly spiral into name-calling and personal attacks. But when you adopt a Stoic mindset, you recognize that engaging in these conflicts doesn't serve you or your goals. By stepping back, pausing, and asking yourself, "Is this really worth my time and energy?" you can prevent yourself from getting sucked into the unnecessary drama. Seneca, another great Stoic philosopher, advised, "It is better to conquer our grief than to deceive it." This applies not only to grief but to all emotions. When we acknowledge that many situations don't deserve our emotional investment, we gain the strength to rise above the drama. Think about a time when you got involved in drama that, looking back, wasn't worth it. How did it affect you? Did it distract you from more important tasks, drain your energy, or lead to stress? Most of the time, we find that the conflicts we get pulled into aren't really as significant as we thought they were. The Stoics believed that one way to avoid getting caught up in drama is by practicing indifference to what doesn't matter. This doesn't mean ignoring your responsibilities or relationships, but rather understanding what truly deserves your attention and what doesn't. When you prioritize your peace of mind and choose not to react to every little provocation, you create a life with more clarity, focus, and calm. The next time you're faced with a situation that could lead to drama, try this. Pause and ask yourself, will this matter in a week, in a month, in a year? Often you'll find that what seems urgent and pressing at the moment is something you'll hardly remember in the future. This kind of perspective is a cornerstone of Stoic thinking. Marcus Aurelius taught that we should live each day as if it were your last. If today were your last day, would you want to spend it embroiled in drama? Or would you choose to focus on what brings you joy, fulfillment, and peace? By choosing to let go of drama, you free yourself to live a more meaningful life. This approach doesn't just apply to online or workplace situations, it's just as valuable in personal relationships. Family and romantic relationships can often be breeding grounds for drama because emotions are heightened and stakes feel higher. But the Stoic philosophy of avoiding drama can help here too. Instead of reacting defensively during an argument with a loved one, practice listening without taking things personally. Remember that their emotions are their own, and your role is to control how you respond. This doesn't mean being cold or indifferent, it means being emotionally steady. In doing so, you can often de-escalate situations rather than fueling them. So, how can we all start applying this Stoic approach to our everyday lives? The first step is mindfulness, becoming aware of when you're getting pulled into drama. Recognize the signs, whether it's a quickened heartbeat, rising frustration, or the urge to argue. When you notice these feelings, take a step back and remind yourself of what's really important. Ask yourself, is this situation worth my peace? If the answer is no, choose to disengage. Secondly, focus on what you can control. This is the heart of Stoic philosophy. You can't control what others do or say, but you can always control your own actions. By focusing on this, you maintain your sense of agency and avoid becoming a victim of external events. If you've made it this far, you're already mastering the art of calm within chaos. Drop a comment saying, "I am at peace," to show your commitment to finding clarity and resilience with Stoicism. Stick around. There's more wisdom ahead. Lesson 7. Conquer fear. Take control of your mind. Fear is one of the most powerful emotions that can dominate our lives, often controlling our decisions and holding us back from reaching our full potential. The Stoics believed that fear, much like other emotions, is a product of our own minds, and that mastering it requires mastering our thoughts. As Epictetus wisely put it, men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them. This lesson is all about conquering fear by taking control of your mind, a process that involves understanding the root of your fears, reframing them, and making deliberate choices about how to respond. Fear can arise in countless situations, whether it's fear of failure, fear of rejection, or fear of the unknown. But in each case, the Stoic approach helps us see that fear is not a result of the external world, but how we interpret and react to it. If we change how we perceive fear, we can stop letting it control our lives and instead use it as a tool for growth. For men aged 30 to 65, fear often revolves around major life decisions, career changes, relationships, financial stability, or personal health. These fears can feel overwhelming, but the Stoics remind us that we cannot control external outcomes, only our responses to them. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The strength to conquer fear lies in this fundamental truth. Instead of obsessing over what might go wrong, focus on what you can do to face challenges with courage and determination. For example, if you're anxious about a major project at work, rather than being paralyzed by the fear of failure, focus on what is within your control: preparation, effort, and attitude. By shifting your attention to the things you can manage, you not only reduce fear, but also increase your sense of agency and confidence. A key part of conquering fear is understanding that it often stems from uncertainty and the need for control. We fear the unknown because we don't know what's going to happen, and that lack of control creates anxiety. However, as Seneca reminds us, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. The mind has a way of exaggerating potential threats, making them seem far worse than they actually are. This is why many of the things we fear never come to pass, and even when they do, they are often not as catastrophic as we imagined. So how do we deal with this tendency to blow things out of proportion? By recognizing that fear is often just a projection of our imagination, we can challenge our assumptions and reduce the power fear has over us. Next time you feel afraid, ask yourself, is this fear based on something real, or am I imagining the worst possible outcome? More often than not, you'll find that fear dissolves once you confront it with logic and reason. In modern life, fear can manifest in subtle but powerful ways. For example, the fear of failure might prevent you from taking on new opportunities or pursuing a dream. You might stay in a job that doesn't fulfill you because you're afraid of the uncertainty that comes with change. But the Stoics encourage us to view these moments of fear as opportunities for growth. Epictetus said, "He who is not a slave to fear is truly free." In this sense, freedom is not just about external circumstances, it's about freeing your mind from the chains of fear. Consider how many choices in your life are influenced by fear, whether it's the fear of judgment, the fear of rejection, or the fear of losing something. When we let fear dictate our decisions, we become prisoners to it, living small, limited lives. But by choosing to face fear and act in spite of it, we regain control of our minds and our destinies. Let's take a common scenario many men face: the fear of rejection, particularly in relationships. This fear can stop you from expressing your feelings or taking a risk on love. You might hesitate to approach someone or to be vulnerable because you're afraid of being turned down or hurt. But if you let this fear control you, you'll miss out on meaningful connections and experiences. The Stoic approach would be to accept that rejection is a possibility, but it doesn't define your worth. What matters is how you act in the face of that fear. By focusing on your values, honesty, courage, and self-respect, you can approach relationships with confidence, knowing that rejection is simply part of life, not a reflection of your character. In fact, it's often through facing rejection that we learn the most about ourselves and what we truly want. Another area where fear commonly shows up is in financial security, especially as we age. You might worry about saving enough for retirement, providing for your family, or dealing with unexpected financial hardships. These fears are valid, but they can be paralyzing if you focus only on worst-case scenarios. The Stoics would encourage you to focus on what is within your control, creating a budget, making wise investments, and being responsible with your resources. As Marcus Aurelius noted, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." Financial setbacks or uncertainties are part of life's natural ebb and flow, and accepting this reality can help you manage fear more effectively. Rather than fearing loss, embrace change as a constant and prepare yourself to adapt as needed. One of the most empowering aspects of Stoicism is the idea that we can reframe our fears and turn them into strengths. For instance, instead of viewing fear as a weakness, consider it a signal that something important is at stake, something worth pursuing. Fear is often an indicator that you're stepping outside your comfort zone, which is exactly where growth happens. When you feel fear, rather than retreating, use it as motivation to move forward. Ask yourself, what is this fear telling me? What opportunities lie on the other side of this fear? By shifting your mindset, you transform fear from an obstacle into a tool for personal development. At the core of Stoicism is the belief that we have control over our inner world, no matter what external challenges arise. This is where true peace comes from, knowing that while you can't predict or prevent every difficulty, you can always choose how you respond. Fear is a part of life, but it doesn't have to dominate your mind or your actions. As you go through life's challenges, remember that fear is just one emotion, not the whole picture. By learning to control your mind, you can conquer fear and live a life that is guided by reason, courage, and resilience. So, what fears are holding you back right now? How can you apply Stoic wisdom to face them head-on, knowing that the power to conquer fear lies within you? Lesson 8. Venting Myths, a Stoic Alternative. Let's talk about venting. We've all heard that letting out our emotions is healthy, that expressing anger, frustration, or sadness can bring relief. But what if I told you that Stoicism offers a different and perhaps more effective way of dealing with our emotions? The Stoics believed that while it's natural to feel emotions, venting is not always the solution we think it is. In fact, venting can sometimes make things worse by amplifying our negative feelings. As Seneca wisely noted, anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it. In other words, expressing emotions without thought can often deepen our distress rather than relieve it. The Stoic approach suggests a more controlled and mindful way of managing emotions that leads to lasting inner peace, rather than the temporary satisfaction that comes from venting. Think about the last time you vented to a friend, a coworker, or even on social media. Did you feel better afterward? Or did you find yourself even more worked up? It's easy to assume that letting out emotions is a form of release, but Stoicism teaches us that the real release comes from understanding and reframing our emotions, not simply expressing them. When we vent, we're often giving too much power to the negative thoughts and feelings that are already swirling in our minds. The Stoic alternative is to step back and observe those emotions without judgment. Instead of venting, the Stoics would advise us to practice apatheia, a state of emotional calm where we acknowledge our emotions but don't let them control us. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have." In the case of venting, the more we focus on external circumstances, like the behavior of others or frustrating situations, the more we allow those external factors to control our inner peace. In modern life, the idea of venting has been romanticized. We're told that sharing our struggles will lighten the load, that getting it all off our chest will somehow make things better. But have you ever considered what happens after the venting session ends? Often, we walk away from those conversations still feeling dissatisfied, if not worse than before. This is because venting doesn't address the root of the problem. It just releases tension temporarily. The Stoic way encourages us to look inward, to question why we feel the way we do, and to seek solutions based on reason and self-reflection. Instead of venting about a difficult boss or a disappointing outcome, ask yourself, what is really bothering me? What is within my control, and how can I act on that? This shift from external blame to internal empowerment is where true peace begins. Consider a real-life example many of us face. Workplace frustration. You've had a long day, your boss has piled on extra work, and you're at your breaking point. The first impulse might be to call a friend and unload all your frustrations. While this might provide a momentary sense of relief, the frustration remains unresolved. The Stoic alternative would suggest that before venting, pause and reflect on the situation. What part of this is within your control? Perhaps it's managing your workload more effectively, or setting clearer boundaries with your boss. Maybe it's about accepting that you can't control others' expectations but can control how you respond to them. By choosing to address the problem through calm reflection rather than emotional release, you're building resilience and gaining control over the situation. The Stoics also believe that venting can have a negative impact on those around us. When we vent, we're not just releasing our emotions, we're often dumping them onto others, spreading negativity and stress. Epictetus advised, "Keep company with those who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best." This wisdom suggests that we should be mindful of the emotional energy we bring into our interactions. Rather than venting, we can choose to engage in conversations that are solution-focused, where we seek support without burdening others with our unchecked emotions. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or pretending everything is fine, but rather approaching conversations with a mindset of growth and understanding, rather than simply airing grievances. Let's also explore how venting affects our mindset in the long run. Venting reinforces the narrative that we are victims of our circumstances, that the external world is to blame for our unhappiness. Over time, this mindset can lead to a sense of helplessness and frustration, where we believe that the only way to cope with life's challenges is to complain about them. But the Stoics saw challenges as opportunities for growth, and they believed that our power lies in how we choose to respond to adversity. By reframing challenges in this way, we stop being victims of circumstance and start becoming active participants in shaping our lives. When something goes wrong, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I grow? This mindset shift is far more empowering than venting because it turns problems into stepping stones for personal development. In our personal relationships, the urge to vent can be particularly strong. Whether it's a conflict with a partner or a disagreement with a friend, we often want to express our emotions immediately. But before rushing to vent, consider how much stronger your relationships could be if you approached those conflicts with calmness and understanding. Rather than venting about what your partner did wrong, practice the Stoic principle of seeing things from the other person's perspective. Could their actions be a result of something you don't fully understand? How can you communicate your feelings in a way that promotes resolution rather than escalation? By controlling your impulse to vent, you open the door to healthier, more constructive conversations that strengthen your relationships rather than weaken them. The key lesson from Stoicism is that venting isn't the path to peace. It's often a detour that keeps us stuck in our emotional turbulence. The Stoic alternative is to approach emotions with curiosity and reason, seeking to understand rather than to react. By doing so, we develop the emotional resilience that allows us to face life's challenges without losing our inner calm. So, the next time you feel the urge to vent, pause for a moment and ask yourself, is this helping me grow, or is it keeping me stuck in the same emotional cycle? How can I reframe this situation to gain clarity and control over my mind? In the end, the Stoic approach teaches us that true peace comes not from releasing emotions but from mastering them. What will you choose the next time you're faced with emotional turmoil, venting or self-mastery? Lesson 9. Pause and reflect. The art of epoche. In the fast-paced, chaotic world we live in, it's easy to get swept away by emotions, impulsive reactions, and stress. But what if I told you that mastering the art of pausing and reflecting could change your entire approach to life? The Stoics referred to this as epoche, the practice of suspending judgment and withholding immediate reaction. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "If you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your judgment of them. And it is in your power to wipe out that judgment now." This powerful idea invites us to slow down, observe our thoughts, and avoid the knee-jerk reactions that often make our lives more complicated. By practicing epoche, we give ourselves the mental space to reflect before reacting, making sure that our actions align with our values and long-term goals rather than temporary emotions or external pressures. In today's world where distractions and stressors are constant, learning how to pause and reflect is not just helpful, it's essential for living a peaceful, fulfilling life. Let's break down the concept of epoche and see how we can apply it in our day-to-day lives. Have you ever found yourself reacting impulsively to something only to regret it later? Maybe it was a heated argument where you said things you didn't mean, or a decision made in haste that didn't work out as you hoped. These are moments when a pause could have made all the difference. The Stoics believed that we are not at the mercy of our emotions or the events around us. Instead, we have the power to choose how we respond, and that choice is what defines our experience. Think about the last time you felt angry, frustrated, or overwhelmed. Did you act immediately, or did you take a moment to breathe and reflect? Most of the time, when we react without reflection, we make decisions we later wish we hadn't. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This simple but profound statement emphasizes that while we may not control external events, we always have control over how we interpret and respond to them. In modern life, epoche is especially relevant. We're bombarded by social media notifications, work demands, family obligations, and an endless stream of information that competes for our attention. It's easy to feel overwhelmed and react out of habit or emotion, rather than taking the time to consider our actions. But what if, before responding to an irritating email or reacting to a negative comment online, we paused? What if we took a moment to reflect on whether responding at all would serve our best interests? Practicing epoche allows us to step back and evaluate situations from a calmer, more rational perspective. It's about realizing that we don't have to react to everything immediately. Sometimes the wisest course of action is no action at all. In fact, Marcus Aurelius often advised, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." This means that while we give others the grace to make mistakes or act irrationally, we hold ourselves to a higher standard of reflection and mindfulness before acting. Consider how epoche can transform your personal relationships. We've all had moments where a loved one says something that hurts or frustrates us, and our immediate instinct might be to retaliate with a sharp word or an emotional outburst. But what if, instead of reacting, we paused and asked ourselves, is this worth escalating? Is there another way to approach this situation that would lead to a better outcome? By practicing epoche, we give ourselves the chance to respond with kindness, patience, and clarity. It's not about suppressing emotions, but about recognizing that not every emotional impulse deserves to be acted on. Over time, this habit of pausing can help improve communication, reduce unnecessary conflicts, and foster deeper, more meaningful connections with the people around us. How many arguments or misunderstandings could be avoided if we all practiced the art of epocheing? In professional settings, epoche can be equally transformative. Imagine you're in a high-pressure meeting, and a colleague challenges your ideas in front of everyone. The natural reaction might be to defend yourself quickly or even snap back, but what if you took a deep breath and paused? By reflecting before responding, you give yourself the time to formulate a thoughtful, reasoned response that not only preserves your integrity but also improves the overall tone of the discussion. As Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free." The bravery here lies in resisting the urge to react impulsively and choosing to act with wisdom and composure instead. This kind of approach can lead to better decision-making, healthier work relationships, and a more peaceful work environment. After all, it's often not the challenges we face at work that stress us out, but how we react to them. By practicing epoche, we can navigate even the most stressful situations with grace and effectiveness. You might be wondering how you can start applying epoche in your everyday life. The first step is awareness. Begin by noticing the situations where you tend to react impulsively or emotionally. This could be during an argument, while reading a frustrating news story, or when dealing with a stressful work situation. The moment you feel that surge of emotion, remind yourself to pause. Take a deep breath, step back mentally, and reflect on the situation. Ask yourself, what's really going on here? Is this something I need to react to right away? Or can I give myself more time to think about it? By creating that space, you allow your rational mind to take over, rather than letting your emotions dictate your actions. Over time, this practice becomes easier, and you'll find that you're able to approach life's challenges with a greater sense of calm and clarity. The beauty of epoche is that it teaches us to control what we can, our reactions, while letting go of what we can't, which are the actions and behaviors of others. This is the heart of Stoic philosophy. The more we focus on mastering our internal world, the less affected we become by the chaos of the external world. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. By cultivating the art of pausing and reflecting, we not only improve the quality of our thoughts, but also the quality of our lives. So, the next time you find yourself in a stressful or emotional situation, try practicing epoche. Pause, reflect, and then decide on the best course of action. How might your life change if you applied this practice more regularly? What kind of peace and clarity could you cultivate by simply giving yourself a moment to think? In the end, epoche is not just a tool for navigating life's challenges, it's a pathway to mastering the mind and living a more thoughtful, intentional life. Lesson 10. Clear judgment, the key to inner peace. The Stoics believed that mastering the art of clear judgment is the key to finding inner peace. As Marcus Aurelius once said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. This is not just an abstract idea but a practical philosophy for dealing with life's everyday challenges. Clear judgment means being able to see things as they truly are, without letting emotions, biases, or external circumstances cloud your thinking. It is about maintaining control over your mind and making decisions based on logic and reason, rather than fear or impulse. This skill is not only crucial for navigating life's difficulties, but also for achieving lasting peace of mind in a world that often feels overwhelming. Let's explore what clear judgment really means. In simple terms, it's the ability to step back from a situation and view it objectively. The Stoics understood that we cannot control external events, but we can control how we interpret and respond to them. Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it, that matters." This mindset encourages us to pause before reacting, to analyze the situation with calm and clarity, and to make a decision that aligns with our long-term goals and values. When we allow emotions like anger, frustration, or fear to drive our decisions, we lose sight of what really matters and often make choices that we later regret. Clear judgment helps us avoid these emotional pitfalls and guides us toward actions that bring lasting satisfaction. Consider how this applies to modern life. Whether it's a stressful situation at work, a disagreement with a loved one, or a financial challenge, we are constantly faced with decisions that can either lead to more chaos or bring us closer to peace. Take, for example, the pressures many men face in balancing their careers with family responsibilities. It's easy to get overwhelmed and make impulsive decisions that don't serve either part of your life well. The Stoic approach would be to step back, assess the situation without emotional involvement, and ask yourself, what is within my control? How can I respond in a way that supports my values, both as a professional and as a family man? By making decisions from a place of clarity and purpose, rather than stress or anxiety, you can avoid unnecessary conflicts and maintain a sense of balance in your life. Another key aspect of clear judgment is understanding the difference between what we can control and what we cannot. The Stoics taught that many of the things we worry about, other people's opinions, future outcomes, past mistakes, are beyond our control. By focusing on what we can control, such as our actions, attitudes, and responses, we free ourselves from the burden of anxiety and stress. As Seneca wisely noted, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Often, the scenarios we fear never come to pass, and by obsessing over them, we only create mental chaos. Practicing clear judgment means recognizing when you are worrying about things beyond your influence and redirecting your focus to the present moment and the actions you can take. This shift in perspective can bring immediate relief and clarity, allowing you to move forward with confidence. Clear judgment also plays a crucial role in relationships. Many conflicts arise not because of the actual events that occur, but because of how we interpret them. A small comment from a partner, a coworker's criticism, or a friend's behavior can quickly spiral into a major issue if we let our emotions take over. But when we approach these situations with clear judgment, we can separate the facts from our emotional reactions. Instead of jumping to conclusions or assuming the worst, we can calmly assess the situation and respond in a way that fosters understanding and resolution rather than conflict. This doesn't mean suppressing your emotions, but rather recognizing them for what they are, temporary feelings that don't need to dictate your actions. In professional settings, clear judgment is equally important. Whether you're making a decision that impacts your career or leading a team through a difficult project, the ability to think clearly and make rational choices can mean the difference between success and failure. In moments of stress, when deadlines loom and tensions rise, it's tempting to make snap decisions just to alleviate the pressure. However, the Stoics would advise that true leadership comes from the ability to remain calm under pressure and to consider all aspects of a situation before acting. By practicing clear judgment, you not only make better decisions for yourself, but also inspire confidence and trust in those around you. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This strength allows you to navigate the ups and downs of professional life with grace and effectiveness. One of the biggest challenges to clear judgment is our tendency to let past experiences cloud our view of the present. We often bring old grudges, fears, and assumptions into new situations, which prevents us from seeing things as they truly are. The Stoics believe that every moment is an opportunity to start fresh, to approach each situation with an open mind and a clear perspective. By letting go of past baggage and focusing on the present, we can make decisions based on the reality of the current moment, not the weight of our past experiences. This is not to say we should ignore the lessons of the past, but rather that we should not allow them to dictate our future. Clear judgment means being fully present, aware and focused on what is happening now, rather than being dragged down by what has already happened. Clear judgment is not just a Stoic practice, it's a life skill that can transform the way we handle challenges, relationships, and decisions. By pausing to reflect, staying grounded in reality, and focusing on what we can control, we can navigate life's chaos with a sense of calm and purpose. It's about making decisions that align with our values and long-term goals, rather than being driven by temporary emotions or external pressures. The next time you face a difficult situation, remember the words of Marcus Aurelius. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. How can you apply this principle today to bring more clarity and peace into your life? By practicing clear judgment, you take control of your mind and ultimately, your life. As we wrap up today's video on Be at Peace. Even with a chaotic mind, practical philosophy for a better life with Stoicism. Remember that true peace comes from mastering your mind, not controlling external circumstances. By embracing Stoic wisdom, you can approach life's challenges with calm and clarity, regardless of the chaos around you. If you found this content helpful, please give it a like, share it with someone who could benefit from it, and subscribe to Stoic in your life. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss our future videos where we continue exploring practical Stoic philosophy for a better life. Thanks for watching, and keep those Stoic vibes strong. See you next time.